Can you hear me now? Testing, 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 testing. I'm gonna wait 5 seconds for you guys to tell me, and then I'll pretend, like I'm starting fresh. This is the third time I'm starting, by the way, because the first time I hit record instead of stream. Okay, okay, so you can hear me. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hi guys, this is the August 2019 Patron AMA stream. And we had some technical difficulties, but we're starting. I'm not quite ready, but we're gonna start anyway. Hey, how are you? I have my giant monster that I'm gonna drink if I can open it. And then I can be super fucking energetic when I'm answering your questions. So, I don't know why you guys are still friends with me, since I'm always late to things. But my life is hard, you know? I had to clean my room. I had to do my makeup. I'm really not liking this lipstick. I don't really like dark lipstick on me in general, but I decided to take a risk. And I feel like it just needs to be reshaped a little bit with concealer. But we'll do that later when I've had some drinks in me. I literally need a man to open this for me. Or a woman. Or anyone, really. Anyone who's... I'm literally gonna cut myself. Trying to open this. Like, why is it wrapped? Oh, I see. There's a line that says tear here. Oh god, what did I just do? This has been a hardship stream, guys. This is my third attempt to start this, so bear with me if I seem a little out of it. Okay, look at it. Ah! We're making a lot of progress. Oh god. How do you open this? Like, what? I don't even understand what this kind of can is. Like, I've never had one of these before. This is what you guys are paying me for, right? Is to sit here watching me trying to open things. Well, chill hip-hop plays in the background. I mean, there's usually there's a reason this is a joke in my videos. It's because, like, this is the reality, people. This is a joke I'm entitled to make because this is the hardship that I actually live with. Like, I live this struggle every day. I can't believe how long this is taking me. We're gonna be here for like 5 minutes while I try to open things. Okay, got it. Got the last of the plastic off. Now we have to figure out what to do with this. Like, I've literally never seen a cap like this before. How do you open it? How do you open this? I have no idea how to open this can. Like, it looks like... I'm gonna try to, like... Oh. Is it... I think I got it. I got it. Okay. I've never seen what color this is before. It's clear. And... Oh fuck. I need to find my purse because I put some straws in it from 7-Eleven. Trust me, the straws are important because if we don't do the straws, then I'm gonna mess up the lipstick, and then we're gonna be redoing the lipstick instead of doing the stream. Okay. Oh god, they're like tiny straws. Are you guys seeing this? It's like a little like super thin straw. Okay. It's fine. It just takes me longer to drink out of it because drinking like this little tiny. Yeah, it's a coffee stirrer. It's not actually meant for drinking. Okay, great. Oh, I do have 2 of them. I'll just use 2 at once, and then I'll switch them between the 2 things I'm drinking. Okay. Drink struggle part 2. This is called being a primate. We invent tools to solve problems. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but you should consider it. It's very full. Okay. I think we're ready. Let's try to leave my hair alone tonight. That's going to be our mission. Do not touch... I've already messed it up. It's fine. Do you guys like my new piercings? I got a helix piercing and whatever that is. Okay. Let's answer some questions. Goddamn. I might cut all of that out of the archive, depending on how annoying it seems when I rewatch it. Okay. Invite to submit questions. Okay, we have 84 questions. And I'm starting at 9:15. Okay. Great. How's the music volume, guys? I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, maybe. Okay. Alice says, "Hi Natalie, for this month I made a survey to rate the body language of the 2020 candidates in the debates. Who's got the moves to go toe-to-toe with Trump? I used GIFs to slow the candidates in motion, and I hope some folks in the chat can check them out along with you." Okay. Let's take a quick look. Okay. So we have Michael Bennett. Oh god. I feel like we're doomed if it's this guy. I'm just getting very like... I'm sorry if this is problematic and not politically correct, but he just seems cuckable. Like, I just feel like he's just gonna get like... You know what I mean? I feel like Alpha Trump is just gonna like roll over him. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say that's bad moves. Joe Biden. Well, seeing as he didn't put a GIF in of him groping a woman, I don't really think this is a fully accurate summary of his body language. So I'm gonna say no. Terrible. Because all I can think of when I think about Joe Biden and body language is sniffing the hair of 13-year-old girls. Fuck that. Bill de Blasio. Okay, I'm getting some alpha energy from Bill. He's kind of doing a lot of this. It's a lot of hand stabbing, a lot of. I like that. It would look better if he had my nails. You have to admit. So I'm gonna say it's good moves. It's a lot of. Cory Booker. Oh my god, that gif of him staring down Beta O'Rourke trying to speak Spanish, that alone takes this to fabulous moves. Okay, Steve Bullock. Yeah, this has me concerned. Again, it just seems a little bit cuckable to me. I'm sorry men are held to these expectations, but I'm just like... I just know how American politics works, and it's kind of just like a, it's just like a wrestling, you know? I'm gonna say this is bad moves. Am I perpetrating, especially, I've just been thinking about this, 'cause I'm thinking about my last video. I'm worried that I'm like reinforcing patriarchy or whatever. Pete Buttigieg. We're getting it very low. So this first thing, he's moving around, but it's like very like, it's very like rodent-like. I don't know. I don't know if there's too much mousiness in this. I think he's cute, but I don't know if that's gonna be enough, guys. I want to say bad moves. I'm sorry. Julian Castro. I think that's pretty good. He looks very calm and self-assured. I think that's good. Let's say good moves. John Delaney. We got a little bit of a crazy vibe from these. I mean, that could be good. Crazy wins sometimes, as long as he doesn't go Howard Dean on us. I'll say good moves. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard. We have a femoid. I like her body language. I think that there's a lot of like sarcasm that she can seem like she can do with her face, and I think that on stage with Trump, she can make him look like he's a fucking idiot, talking to an adult, like a child, like a kindergartner talking to an adult. I kind of stand. I want to say good moves. Kristen Gillibrand. Not as big a fan of these gifts, I gotta say. I don't know. She's got like a little like forefinger motion. That's very good. But I don't know about this first one. I don't know what's going on there. I guess I'll say bad. Kamala Harris. I like her stage presence actually, and she can get fiery. That's good. You want fire when you're up there with Trump. I'll say good. Amy Klobuchar. I don't even know who this is. I'm just kind of meh. I guess bad moves, because I'm just like, I can't even have an opinion about it. Beta O'Rourke. God, I don't want him against Trump, because I just feel like it's gonna be a little too John Kerry, you know? I want to say bad. Tim Ryan. Whom? A lot of it. Okay, like fingers together. I love this. Or this. Or this. I don't know if that's gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna say that's bad. Bernie Sanders. Bernie needs a lot of arms out. 99% of the people are different than 1% of the people. I kind of like it. I'm gonna say good, but I'm a little biased because I like him. Oh, Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Oh wow, this is craziness. See, she does sarcasm with her face too, but I worry it's gonna seem smug when she does it. I don't know. Who cares? I mean, it's one of those things, right? Where like, the people who are gonna like her, and like the people who are gonna like Trump are gonna find it smug. So like, I don't know. I don't know what to do, people. She's kind of like a librarian, like lecturing someone. I'm worried about that. I'm gonna say bad. Marianne Williamson. Ugh. I just cannot help but stand this woman. I know she's bad, and I shouldn't, but I just like... She, like, look at her moving her head. Like, she's just like... I like this kind of body language. She also is doing... She's doing like... I don't know. I like Mary. I like her like as a person. I don't like her as a presidential candidate, but I'm gonna say good moves. Andrew Yang. Is it Yang or Yang? I don't know, and it's too late to find out. I think his body language is pretty good. We've got a diversity representation here. There's the hand talking. There's the hand gesturing. There's this very goofy walk on stage. I'm not so sure about that. That has me a little worried. We'll say good though. Okay, we're done with that. Okay, next question. Andrew Southern. Hey Gorge. Hey Gorge. Hey Gorge. Two short ones. Have you listened to the new John Waters autobiography? No, I have not. I guess I should, huh? And do you have any opinions on UBI? That's Universal Basic Income, to those of you who don't follow these kinds of questions. I don't know. I think like Universal Basic, I think some kind of thing like that's a good idea. I don't really have an opinion on the like guaranteed jobs versus universal basic income versus like there's all these like different proposals people have for like why different ones are better than the other, and I don't really have an opinion because it's like this is just like not the kind of thing that I form opinions about, you know? Like it's a very mathy kind of question. Like I don't really think like that, so I'm kind of happy to like let other people figure that one out, you know? Like, I don't know. I'm not an economist. Like, I don't know how much money people should make. Like, I feel like probably too many people have not enough money, and probably a lot of people have too much money. But how to go about fixing that problem? I got nothing, guys. I don't have a plan. My plan is to make YouTube videos. I mean, I could like do a bunch of research and form an opinion, but I haven't done that, you know? I feel like some people are really like they have opinions about all this kind of stuff, even though they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. See, I'm not like that. If I don't know a thing, I don't know, you know? I don't pretend like I have like a super great opinion about it. So I know that's not a very good answer. The other thing I hate about dark lipstick, see that, like you can see like the inside part of my mouth. I hate that. We're redoing this lipstick later. Mark my word. Dimphnomaniac says, what would be the best symbol for your adoptive city? A crab, B, a rat, C, divine, D, Baltimore, Maryland. Well, crab is the current symbol. Divine would objectively be the best, but also if Baltimore, Maryland, my character, was the symbol of the real Baltimore, Maryland, I wouldn't complain. Lauren Benasuti says, wow, I said that weird. Lauren Benasuti says, hi Natalie, are there any topics in your latest video that you wanted to discuss but thought were too off topic, risky, or otherwise? Yeah, there were a bunch actually. I could open up the document with all my notes in it. Let me see if I can remember what I didn't discuss that I had like originally planned to. You know what? I'm gonna open up my notes and I'll find you something. Recent documents. Men notes. Okay, there was a whole section, or a few paragraphs anyway, a few lines about why like some trans women become men's rights activists after they transition. And I see, I deleted this for a good reason, and you'll see why. I said that I thought it's so. There's some jokes in here. I said, let's see. A lot of trans women go through an MRA stage early in transition, especially straight trans women. I'm talking about these edgy-based Zoomer traps. And the men's rights movement has a couple of things to offer trans women in that stage. First of all, it's full of single men. Need I say more? But also, for a lot of trans women, when we transition, our lives actually have improved, etc., etc. I had a section on why Jane Austen is a superior thinker to all the male philosophers. Irrelevant, got cut. I had a section on. So I said I became one of the dolls. That was originally going to be explained, where I was gonna say that there's like two kinds of trans women. And one of them is the dolls, which I was going to explain meant that it was like trans women who wear too much makeup and don't act like real women. We cut things for good reasons, space people. I mean, that's why we don't go through this document. Oh, there was a whole thing that was going to be in this video about like, here's a section. I'll just read it out to you because this is a whole deleted section. Let's see. Oh wait, no, that's in a different document somewhere. Well, there's a section where I talked about how like I think like 2016 feminism like went a little too far. Let's see. Let's find that section. Oh, I said. I can't find it now. Oh wow. It was about like shitty Jezebel feminism basically. And like edgy feminism. You know, hashtag kill a man. Valerie Solanas was right. I enjoy edging as much as the next feminist. It's pretty bad stuff. We deleted it for a reason. Okay. Backbay says, a while back you posted commentary vids of your early videos and talked about how much easier it was to use your body for comedy before transitioning. How do you feel you use your body in videos now? Well, I guess lately, I mean, I usually don't really use my body. You know, I film like neck up basically. Obviously the last video is a big exception because it was a lot of body. But in that video I'm using it as a visual spectacle. And just to give you know, give straight men with a short attention span something to look at. So I guess that's how. Queen Nadia says, hi Natalie, your new video resonated with me really well. I just wanted to ask, what was your experience on Grindr as a trans woman like? I've had a few Grindr meetups and they were all very scary and it felt sketchy to me, thanks. I have not really used Grindr extensively. I mostly just put it on my phone as a gimmick for the last video, but I'm basically too famous for that shit. But I was surprised, like, when I uploaded it, when I put it on I had Grindr on my phone, I used an actual picture of me, and I said I was a trans woman, and I was surprised by it. It's like how many fucking messages I got. in a very, very short space of time. So that's a little scary to know, because one of these days I am probably gonna get too drunk and fuck some guy on Grindr. It's probably gonna happen, people. I'll tell you all about it when that finally happens. But until then, yeah, I don't fucking do that shit. I'm a bio girl. Okay, Anna Marie says, hi Natalie, just wondering what music you've been listening to lately. I love your work, keep it up. Thanks, Anna. What music have I been listening to lately? My music taste, it's gotten very basic. Like, I don't know what's going on with me, but it's just like, I enjoy the top 40. Like, that was never me growing up. Is music better now, or am I just more basic? But like, I have like loved both the last few songs that have been like Billboard #1. I loved Bad Guy. I loved Old Town Road. I'm basic. It's good to be basic because the world caters to basic people. If you can be basic, I suggest it. And that's working out super well for me. Looking at the chat, Grindr is brutal. I had an account for like half an hour and a flood of 60-year-olds was too much for me. Yeah. That's what happens. Okay. Someone says Grindr's for men. Not necessarily. I know a lot of trans women who use Grindr because, like DL men use it basically. Like men who. I mean, it's not like, you know, if you're a trans woman, you don't use Grindr to find your boyfriend. You use it to find a guy who is ashamed of it but will still fuck you. So love that for you if that's what you're into. Okay. Jennifer Eden says, can I just say, I appreciated the effort with the fridge gag. Thank you. Very Red Letter Media-esque, lol. Just out of interest, is the Polythene Pam anecdote true? Part of me would actually be impressed if that happened, both that they opted for something less trite than Lola, and also that their Beatles repertoire extended beyond the tunes everyone knows. If it were me and I were drunk enough, I'd be tempted to run around and belt out the best of Abbey Road with them. Yeah, the story is true. This did happen to me. It was a pretty old guy too, so that's like he was like 50 something, so like old enough probably to like have grown, well, maybe not old enough to have grown up with the Beatles, but or you know what I mean, been like a teen. But I don't know, which album is Polythene Pam off of anyway? I think is it Abbey Road? The lipstick's driving me crazy, guys. I'm gonna fix it in a second. Yeah, that actually happened. I guess like there's some ambiguity as to whether that's being clocked, right? Because Polythene Pam is a song about a cis woman who looks like a man, right? Like, at least it's not dude looks like a lady. It's, have you seen Polythene Pam? She's so good looking, but she looks like a man. It's still not my favorite thing though. It's not super great. It was not really my finest moment, to be honest. Okay, Christina L says, what weird thing can I ask this month? Rubs chin. How do you deal with boob sweat? I've been sitting around a C for a while myself, and it can be quite annoying when wearing a sports bra. A coworker suggested using deodorant under, but it seemed to help a little at least. I hope this wasn't too weird. Stay beautiful. Well, Christina, I don't really deal with boobs. I don't really have boob sweat. Partially because my chest is tiny. Join me on Patreon to support my boob job. But also because I just don't sweat that much because I'm super biological. Here we go. Okay. Joshless says, hi Natalie, I've been suffering from seemingly chronic skin condition. a seemingly chronic skin condition for my entire adult life now. But thankfully for me, it's only been an issue in areas I can easily cover with my shirt. Do you think building the confidence to take my shirt off in front of other people is worth the necessary embarrassment to reach that point? When answering, keep in mind that my question is less about giving advice to me personally and more about your general thoughts on the inherent worth of self-confidence. Well, I think self-confidence is worth it in general. So, yeah, I think it is worth trying to become proud of the body that you have. And the best way to do that is to drink too much alcohol. Now, that's obviously not a long-term solution, but it can be a way to warm up to it. Not that I, suggest excessive drinking, but it has worked for me. This is very irresponsible advice. Someone in the chat says weed is better. Sweaty. I don't know. Maybe weed is like, maybe weed works for some people in terms of like, weed does not calm me down. Like, especially not in public in a situation where I'm inclined to be like ashamed or embarrassed. Like, weed, honestly, makes me like, it puts me in this like spiral of social anxiety where I'm like, does my face look weird? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I can't handle that shit. Alcohol is my drug because it causes me to stop caring so much. And I care too much about things. That's my problem. We're fixing lipstick. I can't stand it. Oh god, where is it? We're just gonna fix like the inside part right now, and then we'll we can like redraw the outside later. Okay, that's better. Nick Pados says, "Hi Natalie, gonna keep it short this time, I promise. I'm sure you answered this at some point before, but my girlfriend and I were wondering, what kind of hobbies do you have? What do you do for fun when you aren't assembling elaborate costume sets and gorgeous videos? I'm ashamed to admit I am of the dreaded species known as gamers." Anyway, thanks, and we hope you're doing well. Love, Nick and Bree. Well, Nick and Bree. Well, everyone. Yeah, what are my hobbies? Well, I do play piano when I don't have nails on. I guess my hobbies are, I don't know, I'm like a makeup. I guess is that a hobby? Do I do anything besides, I kind of don't do anything besides like make videos and hang out with people. Like those are kind of the two things that I do. Most of the stuff that with the, working on things, I do try to work on makeup. I do try to work on like, my wig styling and stuff recently. I've been trying to start working on that. I started listening to, I know I'm always like telling people always ask me what podcast do you listen to, I'm always like, I don't really listen to podcasts. Well, guys, I started listening to podcasts, but you might not like which ones. I'm like obsessed with this podcast, Serial Killers. And by obsessed, I mean, I sometimes listen to it. And I don't know why I'm an edgy teenage boy, but I just am. And I love hearing about serial killers. So those are my hobbies. Makeup, hanging out, and serial killers. Not serial killing. I could always take that up. That's an interesting hobby. I think, the world needs a new trans serial killer. Buffalo Bill Buffalo Bill's not really great representation for trans serial killers, in my opinion, and I think he's a total trender, to be honest. Wolan says, "Hey Natalie, what font have you been using for your opening titles? I really like it, but none of the online font identifiers have been able to find it for me. It looks a bit like FF Bauer Grotesque or one of the 10,000 kinds of Futura, but like pointier. The font I've been using is called Renner, Renner, and it's basically a Futura ripoff, yeah. I like Futura, so I don't have Futura on my computer for some reason. Is Futura like public domain? I'm not sure it is. Anyway, so I use Renner basically as a Futura substitute. I'm being really good about not touching my hair, guys. You guys have to like reward me for this somehow. Top Jar of Piss, Wednesday La Rocha says, "Hey Nat, so I'm losing my mind. There's been a lot of theorizing about Jeffrey Epstein's death. It's honestly reached jet fuel can't melt steel beams levels of absurdity. And just to be clear, I'm not some still with her resistor type. I fucking despise the Clintons. But people have been making shit up about them since the 90s. They're not Hydra agents, they're just shitty neoliberals. Like, I'm not crazy, am I? Epstein killed himself, right? I mean, suicide makes way more sense than Clinton's putting a hit on him, right? Am I being too incredulous? Oh god, oh fuck, I'm losing it. Well, I don't really have an Epstein take, but like the Epstein was murdered thing, like that's not just the Clintons, right? It's like there's like any, like it's also like Trump. It's like any number of like billionaires probably have reason to want him dead in prison. So I think like there's like a lot of like plausible motivation there for like him to have been assassinated, basically. Or he could have killed himself. I don't know. I don't really have a take. I think it seems plausible that he was assassinated. It's also quite possible he killed himself. And I don't really have any special evidence that decides it one way or another. It is suspicious. I'll grant that. Lugnut92 says, "Hi Natalie. Can't think of anything substantial to ask, so what's your takeout? Cuisine of choice. Hope all is well and you had a lovely summer." Wow. Honestly, like Indian, I think. Like, I know I said this before in my Life Hacker article, but I love Nepalese goat curry. I eat it like a couple times a week. It's so good. Baltimore has a lot of what was it? It's a handful of good Nepalese restaurants, and the goat curry dish, it's called kasi kamasu. It's like a Nepalese curry. It's one of my favorite things to eat. So I guess that. But I also like I also really like Mexican. I like spicy food, don't I? Greta Corvette says, "Hey Natalie, what's the best wine ever in your opinion?" Wow, a lot of food questions. Moet Brut. What is it called? Imperial. Yeah. That's my favorite. It's champagne. I've drunk it on stream before. Avi Finkel says, "Are trees art?" Well, I think usually the definition of art means that a thing has to have been made by a human. But I'm also not gonna like police the definition of art, so if someone that finds trees to be art, then far be it from me to tell them to stop. Elise McClary says, "How much wood would a nun chuck if a nun would chuck a woodchuck's nunchuck at a woodchuck nun?" some. Austin Som says, say for the sake of argument, that I was actually considering applying to some philosophy graduate programs. What kind of nightmare would I actually be in for? What is it like? Did you choose a focused specialty or specialty? I do genuinely enjoy researching and writing, and I have been wanting to challenge myself, but the ridiculously esoteric nature of dissertation topics seems like a major turn off. Thanks. Yeah. You're gonna have to write about something very esoteric, but that's, you know, are you the kind of person who can find something esoteric that you want to spend 4 years of your life writing about? Then maybe it's for you. The application process does in fact suck. Most people to get in, they apply to like 10 schools. So I'd be prepared to drop about $1,000 on admissions fees, which is outrageous, but that's how it works. And, you know, for most schools though, you'll be able to use like the same writing sample. So at least you can repeat that. But yeah, applying, it's an ordeal. It's been a long time since I've done that, but thank God we're done with it now. Okay. Alejandro Herrera says, Hola Gringa. First off, happy birthday to me as I joined the 27 Club yesterday on August 27th. Happy birthday. Loved your performance as Juliet. Thank you. Do you think, with hindsight, that you oversimplified the Marxist and feminist answers to misogynistic masculinity? I think you may have missed the point that the struggle against patriarchy and the struggle against capitalism aren't two separate struggles, but part of one big struggle for larger struggle for social and economic liberation. Think of the fish and climate change analogy in Ollie's latest vid. Do you think cishet white men should look to the masculinity of queer cis men, trans masc people, and men of color as modes of healthy masculinity? A bunch of people said that. I mean, maybe. Like, I think probably queer men and trans men have a less shitty masculinity than cishet white men. But not always. So I don't know. I also just kind of like don't have faith that like a lot of cis men will actually do that, you know? But a lot of people have suggested that to me, so it's worth considering. Finally, when you say that it's an improvement that formerly far-right men are now anarchists and communists, but you worry that might not be enough, do you mean that revolutionary politics doesn't remove the spore of misogyny and bigotry that can lead to recreating patriarchal and other types of oppression in their new political identity? Because if so, then I agree. I know people who've had to leave groups like the DSA, mutual aid, and disaster relief collectives, or just stop political organizing in general because the men who abused and assaulted them weren't held accountable for their actions. And unconfronted bigotry tends to lead to the destabilizing of social movements and liberatory political projects. That's one of the things, I mean, yes. Because as I say, like, you know, even like abolishing capitalism, I don't see that as exactly the same thing as abolishing, you know, patriarchal gender relations. Because I think those predate capitalism and could post-date it. But I also think that, well, as I'm sure all of you know by now, I'm not super fucking optimistic about the prospect of a, like, end capitalism revolution, like, fixing this country in the next couple decades. So my political work tends to be devoted to like smaller projects that I think can change things within something like the present system, because to me those are just more concrete, achievable goals, which I know people with a more revolutionary perspective are not super fond of because I think that I'm just ignoring the real problem, but I don't know. I just feel like people have been talking about socialist revolution in this country since like the 1930s or maybe earlier. And like my mom, I've talked to my mom a lot about this, like her whole generation in the 60s went on and on and on about revolution and, you know, how they were going to be Maoists. And then, you know, I felt like I saw the same thing happen 10 years ago with Occupy Wall Street. This was it. This is the end of capitalism. And it just like doesn't happen. And like, I know maybe people think I'm defeatist, like, because I'm not saying it could never happen. I just don't think it will. So I don't know. Am I shit-lib? Yes. And I'm sorry. Okay, Kelly Zeho says, "Hola, Gorge. Gorge? Hey, Gorge. Hey, how are you?" So first, you know, I have to mention the blue and gold eyeshadow, cream robe, red lighting moment combo, Santo Cielo, faints in Mexican soap opera. So I loved your video. I agree that the men's movement is a thing, and there needs to be a healthier outlet and a redefined masculinity with the changing social roles, genders. It's also great you mentioned class reductionists a bit too. You know, I love your humor as a, what is this word, girl? As a mademoiselle myself. I mean, I made a ton of edgy jokes. Oh, a mademoiselle edge. What? I made a ton of edgy jokes about transphobia. You made a lot of edgy jokes about misogyny, like the whole "my opinions aren't taken seriously" thing. Made me laugh, but also I was like, damn, yeah, being a woman in politics sucks. You're an academic, you know there is a credibility gap among the genders in the intellectual realm, right? So I'm wondering, has your perception of biological IQ changed at all? There are people still, of course, who view cis women as biologically less intelligent. You mentioned a few positives, like people smiling at you more often in public, and not being afraid of you, etc., which I get that and agree. I'm wondering, though, what other negative experiences have you had as a woman? You're a gorgeous woman, and I know what it's like to be seen in the public eye as a gorgeous woman, and I've also experienced the public eye as a hideous woman, lol. So, of course, that's the key here. I was treated extremely well when I was stick thin and extremely poorly when I wasn't. Spat on in the streets by men, etc. Now it could go either way for me. So I do think you may have limited scope here because you are like drop dead gorge. I mean, honestly, I know you mentioned a time you got clocked, which is horrible, and I can't imagine that, but since that mostly doesn't happen, what has been the most eye-opening thing to the horrors of being a woman, lol? Oh god, I'm sorry, I have to squeeze this in. Okay, hold on. Let me answer these questions first. So I think the most like shocking one I've had is like, I was once like last summer in a group of, I was at an event where some of my friends from grad school were there, and there were also some like a bunch of like male philosophy grad students that I didn't know, and they didn't know who I was, and they were talking about philosophy, and like I don't really like talking about philosophy, but that's what they were talking about. So we were sitting around like a campfire or whatever, and I just like decided to like enter the conversation, and I just said something, and like they wouldn't even like look at me in this conversation, and I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I have a master's degree in philosophy. What the fuck is on my lip? Oh my god, what is that? It's like a fuzzy thing. The stream is over. Guys, I gotta fix this. We're never doing dark lipstick again. At least not this dark lipstick. Okay. Yeah, so just like being totally ignored by men when having a conversation about a thing that I have tertiary education in. That I would say to me was the most like stark. It was just like a thing that would just not happen before. The other thing is like, I definitely have experienced the thing where, like men take my ideas and then think that they came up with them. No, I will not elaborate on that. Okay. I'm sorry, Kelly. I'm gonna move on because if you've written me like 7 paragraphs, I'm not gonna read all 7 paragraphs. I'm sorry. Okay. Kyle Fimano says, "Hi Natalie, could you please recommend a couple of philosophers or a few specific works if you can recall? I've heard some ancient Greek stuff and it was really interesting, but would much rather skip over the whole old bigoted white guys in wigs stuff. Thank you, love your work." Thank you, Kyle. Plato is the old one worth reading. I've been thinking about the Symposium a lot lately, but mostly if I'm high. I think about the Symposium when I'm high. So that's great. As far as modern people, Wittgenstein, I kind of like the philosophical investigations. I don't really read a lot of philosophy, I'll be honest, these days. So one of these days I'm gonna have to write like a thread about this, because like it'll take me a while to kind of come up with like the suggestions, but then it'll be just like the definitive ContraPoints reading list. And then I can just point people to that. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, Cia says, you have unlimited telekinetic powers for 1 minute. What do you do in that time? So telekinetic means you can move things with your mind, right? Okay, I would probably throw Donald Trump into the sun. That's the first thing that pops into my head. So I do that. That takes 20 seconds. Then I construct a palace for myself in the woods, and I relocate all my stuff there. And then I catapult Mike Pence into the sun. And then I'm done. Okay, great. Andrew Harris says, "Dear Natalie, what are your favorite ways to celebrate your birthday? What sort of gifts do you like to receive? Thank you for all the wonderful YouTube content. Lots of love, your non-binary fan, Andrew/Dorinda." Thank you. Well, my favorite ways to celebrate my birthday, honestly, I like to keep it simple. Be around people I like and get pretty drunk. That's a birthday to me. What kind of gifts do I like to receive? Skincare. Expensive skincare. I've been using a lot of like Japanese like tatcha. So expensive and so good. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Skincare, jewelry, those are kind of the best bets as far as getting me presents. Okay, Julia Penfield says, "Hey Natalie, I'm not sure if this is appropriate to ask or whether you have already addressed it, but could you please talk about your findings in your research to choose an FFS search in, as much as you're comfortable to share? I do not need the very final conclusion, just hoping I could hear the ideas of someone with excellent research skills before making my decision. Thank you, Julia." So the things you'll want to take into consideration are location. Are they in your country or do you have to travel? There are search engines I'm told are very good in places like Mexico, in Europe. But I decided, it's a long recovery, remember, you're gonna have to stay there for at least a week. So I didn't really want to be recovering in Mexico, far away from anyone I know, you know? So that's how I ruled that out. Other considerations are cost. Some surgeons are more expensive than others. What is, how much can you afford to spend on this? And then the other is like results. Don't do a surgeon who, if you've seen their other results and you don't like them. I ended up going with Dr. Spiegel, who is quite expensive, but in my case, the money was there. And I basically, he wasn't the only surgeon I was considering. Like I was also considering Zukowski in Chicago, who tends to produce much more dramatic results, whereas Spiegel produces pretty naturalistic results. But basically the reason I went with Spiegel is I went up to Boston last summer and I had my consultation with him. I suggest doing that, is going in person and doing a consultation. And I thought that basically he instantly agreed with me on what all my aesthetic goals were. And that made me feel good about it because I felt like, you don't want to feel like you're having to persuade the surgeon to do what you want them to do, or like you're having to talk them out of doing stuff that you don't want to do, and that's what I felt like with Spiegel. I felt like we had the same like vision of what I wanted, and so I was like, well, I'll trust you to take apart my face and put it back together. But I also think one thing I suggest other people do that I didn't do is don't have more done than you need. Okay? Because just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should. And you really, honestly, like, I would suggest only addressing the features that are actually causing you a lot of dysphoria. Like, I'm still having second doubts about, did I really need to do this jaw surgery? Because the jaw surgery is the most difficult recovery. And in fact, I have had complications from it. I had an infection in the right side of my face, which got swollen, it's only now gone down, but I still have some numbness in my chin and my lip and some swelling around here. And I'm honestly not my jaw wasn't causing me a lot of dysphoria. I just kind of did it to do it because I had enough money for it, and I was like, well, let's just do everything. Don't do that. Do not have unnecessary facial surgery. It's not a good idea. And I think in my case, like, I was motivated in part to, I was like, I just want a different face. I don't want to look in the mirror and see that guy. And it worked for that because I don't see my pre-transition face in my face anymore. But it's not like I don't like the jaw result. Like, I do like it. It's very feminine. But was it strictly necessary? Maybe not. And that's a lot of money and a lot of pain and a lot of recovery for a thing that your attitude towards beforehand was kind of like, yeah, may as well do that. No. If your thought is, yeah, may as well do that, don't do it. So yeah, that's the advice I did not take that I would nonetheless recommend to you. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And yeah, talk. I don't need to say any more words. I'm just gonna go. Bye. Okay, let's get back to my bread chat. I'm not sure I should have admitted that about my jaw. that I'm not sure if I should have done it, because I'm giving people ammunition to say I shouldn't have. But it's really not about me not liking the result, because I do like the result. And it is like undeniably more feminine. Especially my chin, which used to be much more square. It's not very pointed. But the thing is, like, a lot of cis women have square jaws. Well, but here's the thing, like, any single attribute that you can point out as like a male facial structure attribute, like, a lot of cis women have that, you know? But it's about the way your features combine to produce an effect that is more female. And I'm still kind of like coming to terms with my FFS. Another thing I want to, I have more, while I was peeing, I had more thoughts about this, and I want to share them with you guys. Like, I think that FFS is a very drastic thing to do. Like, this is not a casual, like, surgery. You know, especially if you're doing forehead and jaw stuff. Like, if you're just doing like trachea shave, or you're just doing like a rhinoplasty, those are more minor surgeries. You know, you can be sort of in and out in a couple weeks. But if you're having your scalp peeled off and your brow bone shaved and your, you know, gums cut open and your jaw, like, this is not a joke. Okay, like, and I, you know, about a month ago had like a little panic attack almost, where I sort of like didn't even recognize my own face in the mirror, and I had this like weird, like, this, like, my brain like freaked out for a second, because there was this like identity mismatch where like I wasn't, and it's because the FFS results continue to shift actually after you get the surgery. Like, I wasn't really adequately prepared for this, but like, what I, you know, a month out, like even 5 weeks after the surgery, that's not the final result at all. Like, my face has actually changed a lot since then. And I, you know, like, this jaw swelling has really gone down. My nose has gotten narrower at the tip, because it was still kind of swollen in the beginning. I mean, and it keeps getting better, but it's still like, you're fucking with your face. Like, think about that before you do it. And I'm not saying don't do it, because I decided to do it, and I'm glad I did it. But really think about it. That's all I'm saying. Someone in the chat says that, yeah, FFS can make your face kind of look like a fish for a short bit afterwards. Yes. And in fact, I still have some numbness and around my lips that, like, I can't quite make a kissy face correctly yet. So get ready for, like, not a few weeks of recovery, but in terms of getting full control of your, you know, facial muscles back, that's months. I'm almost at 5 months here, and I still have numbness. So be prepared for that. Okay, that's my FFS rant. Let's move on. Abigail Chloe says, "Hi Natalie, I love your content. I love your content and feel you. Along with trans Reddit, helped me crack my egg. With the rise in trans culture on the internet exposing a lot of people to gender, that is egg IRL, Do you think trans people will become more common as more people diagnose themselves? A 2016 Williams survey estimated around 1 in 200 Americans are transgender. What do you think the true number of trans people is? My guess is 1 in 100. I don't think that there is such a thing as a true number of trans people, because I think that, like gay, transgender is a, you know, socially constructed identity that absolutely more people will choose to identify with as more awareness spreads and as more acceptance exists. So I think that, yeah, basically yes. Reed Carter said, it wouldn't surprise me if it gets as high as 1 in 100. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Reed Carter says, where did you get that stellar hat from the last video? That hat was a very expensive Maison Michel fur felt fedora, which I got, I think on Farfetch. I wanted the like top shelf fedora because I wanted to make the fedora look, you know, I wanted it to look good. And that's hard to do. So I splurged on the fedora. Sometimes with that stuff like that, I'll buy it and then return it. Because if I just wear it in the video, like, you're gonna leave the tags on. I do think I will keep that hat because I can imagine using it again. Edward says, do you think it's worth writing a book about having parents who earned a place in the 1% and didn't make it into the 0.1%? I've had some harrowing experiences both trying to join the military and as a sex worker, and trying to date strippers. Could any of this be interesting and would be too incoherent to put in one book? I wish I had a better question. I love your work. Wish I could give you and Chelsea Manning more money. Could you do a video exploring the UK or US immigration system best ed? Thank you. I think, you know, when people ask, is it worth writing a book about, like, it just depends on what the book you write is. Like, any book can be worth writing if you have if you write it well, and you have, you know, that's kind of what it comes down to. Would I do a video at immigration? Probably not soon, because it's just not the topic that kind of like lends itself to my current style of videos, I don't think. You know, I might have done, that's a topic I would have done like 2.5 years ago. I don't really do that kind of topic anymore. Though for the next video I am doing a much more research intensive video, which I am excited about. Okay. Alicia Crawford says, not. So, like, what do you do when you have a rut in your social life? Like, you know, there needs to be some sort of nondescript change, but there's nothing that's necessarily glaringly broken. Have you ever had that issue before? Any good stories to share about it that you're comfortable to share? Well, after I finished Trans Trenders, that video, I realized that I had kind of fucked up with my life because I was really, really lonely, because I'd gotten so obsessed with making this video that I was just staying up all night, every night, for night after night after night, by myself working on this video. And I wasn't like hanging out with anyone, and I was just ignoring people and saying no to things, just so I could make the video faster. And then I got so depressed suddenly when I finished the video, because like I was done with the only thing that was in my life for the last 2 weeks, right? And so I kind of realized, like, I should not do that again. And that's why the last video took me a little longer to make, because, you know, well, first I had VidCon, and then I decided to go visit Theron, and I decided to go on this like cabin trip with some friends, and I You know, so I guess that's not really answering your question. Like, it depends what kind of rut you're in your social life, but honestly, I think sometimes with that kind of stuff, like having some, like, being proactive about hanging out with some like casual friends you have, like if you know some people in your city or area who like you're not like amazing friends with, but just kind of acquaintances, I find like just like have people over for a couple hours and watch a movie or like to have drinks or something, you know what I mean? Like that kind of hanging out can really improve my day, I find. Like if all I've done is work and then I'm like, it's like 8 p.m. rolls around and I'm feeling that depression like coming on that I could easily like wallow in for the rest of the night. Instead, I'll be like, no, we're not doing that. And I'll like find someone around who's down to hang out and just like I did that last night actually. I was getting like, I was working all day on various projects and then it got to be like 8 p.m. and I was like, I felt this kind of depression coming on. So I was like, I could sit here and be miserable and drink too much by myself and listen to serial killer podcasts the rest of the evening. Or I could go out and talk to people and boost my mood. And I did that and I'm glad I did it. Also, August was a ridiculous lesson in absurdity for me. Just tell Dr. Bay I'll taunt her twice as hard next month since she'll have to go without my trash talk tonight. I have some materials though and I need order others. Now I just need time to be able to sit down and actually make something from them. It may or not involve EL wire. Okay. Sounds good. That wannabe thought Julia says, hey Natalie, didn't get to ask last week, so I'll be a bit extra for this AMA. Thoughts on Jessica Yaniv? God damn it. You broke me, Julia. You broke me. Gotta... I think that, I think I'm glad that Blair White is dealing with this instead of Ben Shapiro. I wish that it hadn't come to this and that this weren't an entertainment spectacle, but you know, Blair has her uses. Her channel was kind of dying for a while, so I guess in an attempt to revive it, she's decided to turn her channel into Pedophile Hunters Television, which I admit I enjoy, you know, sort of in the way that I enjoy Duck Dynasty. Jessica Yaniv, okay, let me finish your question. Does Yaniv change the way you think of self-ID? What are your overall thoughts on self-ID abuse and self-ID in general? Well, here's the thing, Julia, like, what is the alternative to self-ID? Like, trans people present documentation at the bathroom door showing that, you know what I mean? Like, because here's the thing. Trans women don't want to be in a bathroom with Jessica Yaniv any more than cis women. And I know actually a trans woman who was sexually harassed in a women's bathroom by a self-identified trans woman. You know, I don't know what to do about this because it's like, so suppose we say, okay, no more self-ID. From now on, trans women have to present documentation to enter the women's bathroom. So what happens then is trans women who pass really well never have to present documentation because no one thinks to ask. And trans women who don't pass, you know, presumably constantly got harassed about documentation. And then what happens if Jessica Yaniv shows up in the bathroom, you know, and harasses you? You say, "Where's your documentation?" And then she harasses you anyway. So what does that like? What problem does that really fix? You know what I mean? Like I guess you could, you know, you could call the police and report Jessica Yaniv for not having documentation. But you could call the police as is and report her for harassing you. So it's like, I don't really see how self-ID, like, I don't really see how getting rid of how like this new like trans people must have documentation proving their gender. I don't really see what that actually solves any problem. And I think all the problems that we currently have would just exist again. So I kind of think the whole like self-ID debate is just like, it just kind of seems to me like a bullshit debate. You know what I mean? Like, how do we keep men out of women's bathrooms? Who are, you know, predatory men out of women's bathrooms? Well, the current system is what? What is the current system that we have under self-ID? It's that, I mean, you can call the police and report that there's a man in the bathroom, in the women's bathroom, and they'll come in like 15 minutes. And if it's a man, the man will get thrown out. And if it's trans women, the trans woman will get thrown out. So I don't really see how that would be different if you also had an official rule requiring documentation. You know what I'm saying? Top 3 favorite colors. Cyan. Dark yellow, or sort of golden yellow. And blood red. Okay, that's enough questions, Julia. I'm sorry. I'm moving on. Riley Dosh says, what do you think is the long-term plan for ContraPoints and for YouTube as a whole? Will it crash and burn like MySpace someday, or become a corporate ad-filled hellscape? Well, it's already a corporate ad-filled hellscape, so don't need to worry about that happening because it's already happened. Yeah, I think someday YouTube will go the way of MySpace. I mean, we all kind of just assume implicitly that, well, YouTube is forever. I kind of suspect there will always be something like YouTube. So I don't know. My plan is to continue doing this for the foreseeable future. You know, the way our economy works and the way technology works in the 21st century, you simply cannot make a long-term plan for your life because you don't know what careers will exist in 30 years, you know? You don't know what technology will exist in 20 years. So you can't think like that. You can't plan out your life. Instead, what you have to do is try to be agile enough that you can keep up with changes as they come. Anyway, I have lots of fun trying to do translations of your videos, and might actually get around to finishing one of your latest. Best wishes. Thank you, Riley. Good luck translating. Tom Button says, hi Natalie, been a patron for a while, but decided to jump to the higher tier after seeing you attended BronyCon and respect increased 1000%. Question, have you seen the show at all, or did you just attend for the fun of it? And do you have a favorite character? Mine are Pinky and Maud Pie and Octavia because she plays cello. Need I say more? P.S. Men was an amazing video. Look forward to what you come up with next. No, I actually have not really watched My Little Pony. Like, I watched like a couple episodes a long time ago, but the reason I went to BronyCon was because my friend, the YouTuber Jenny Nicholson, was in town going to BronyCon for a video that she's working on. And, you know, it was in Baltimore, and she asked if I wanted to go, so I was like, fuck yes. So this is actually like the second time I've gone with Jenny on an expedition that has ended up being in one of her videos. Because the first time I went with her to the Pandora theme park in Disney World, and then she made a whole video about that. She's a great YouTuber, by the way. You should follow Jenny Nicholson if you don't. But yeah, it was an interesting experience. Do I have a favorite character? Oh, so everyone tells me that there's one character that everyone says that I am. I'm trying to remember who it is. I can't. You'll figure it out in the comments. I know you will. It's like the yellow one. What is the yellow pony? You can see how much of a true My Little Pony fan I am. I'm a fake Pegasister. Rarity. Yes, it's Rarity. I'm Rarity. Eli Yerman says, "Hi Nat, love your work as always. Do you have any tips motivating yourself to write? I have a document full of ideas for videos, stories, etc. When I sit down to actually write any of those things, I always seem to find an excuse to do anything but. Well, believe me, I have the exact same goddamn problem. Like, I don't have trouble procrastinating when it comes to filming or when it comes to building the sets or editing, but I'm such a fucking procrastinator when it comes to writing. So I literally have like a note up on my wall above the monitor right next to the do not tweet note that says 1 sentence at a time. And that's because like that's honestly like you're never gonna start writing if you think like, okay, time to sit down and write the whole project. That's too intimidating. No, sit down and be like, I'm gonna write the first sentence, and then write a first sentence, and then maybe write another sentence, and then maybe you'll have an idea for the third sentence, you know? So I would say that that's really what works for me is you have to approach it, like you have to set the goal for a writing day. You just to make it a very small goal, and that way you will actually start. Whereas if you're like, I can't start writing until I have the whole piece perfectly in my mind, like all the research done, like everything, like if that's what you think you have to have before you start writing, you're never going to start. Okay. Also, at what point in your process do you figure out the aesthetic/framing device for a video? Do you start writing the script on a topic and then let the aesthetic develop as you go? Do you have a backlog of ideas for a theme and try to pair them with the subject matter before you start writing something else? Yeah, so that I decide very early in the video. I like that because I have to buy sets. I have to buy set pieces. I have to buy costumes. I have to buy materials to make costumes. Like, and so that stuff the aesthetic of the video gets decided basically at the same time I decide, what the topic is. Okay. Tamala Peranovic says, "Hey Nat, really loved your latest video. Amazing work as always." Thank you, Tamala. There is a terribly personal question. This is a terribly personal question, and please don't answer if you don't feel comfortable, but I was wondering if you've been raised with any kind of religion, or if you had any early experiences you could share that may have impacted your current views around religion, spirituality, whatever. Yes, Tamala, I was raised in the Presbyterian Church, and that's like a Protestant, if you guys don't know, people watching don't know what that is. It's like a Protestant church in America that it's not the most conservative by any means. Like, I believe most Presbyterian churches now do support like gay marriage, but there was definitely like a kind of like evangelical wing to it growing up, and like the Left Behind novels were very popular at this church. Like, there's a series of novels about like the rapture and the people who aren't raptured. Like, so like it's kind of fundamentalist. So yeah, I had to go to Sunday school all growing up, and then I quit when I was 15, and one day we watched in Sunday school. It was this video that was like, it was supposed to make Jesus relatable to the teens, and so it was like, if Jesus was a high school student, and then it had just like interviews with the other like football players, and it's like they're like, yeah, Jesus is a cool dude, blah blah blah. And I had interviews with the cheerleaders, and they were like, yeah, he's not the best looking guy, but like he's a sweetheart. And I was like, fuck this, and I never went back. And my parents were kind of like, yeah. Cause here's the thing, my parents were never really religious. They were kind of like, you should go, because that's what people do. But when I was like, God doesn't exist, they were just like, yeah, probably not. Like that's about the level of resistance that had with my parents. So, it wasn't a super religious household either. It was kind of like, kind of American middle class, like lazy religiosity, Then later, I guess a couple years later in high school, my mom was always trying to get me to go to the Unitarian church, because she started going to the Unitarian church, which is like, how do I explain Unitarianism? Like they celebrate Easter and Ramadan, and there's like some hippie playing the flute, and like, I don't know, it's pretty gay. And I was never really big on that either, but it is still an improvement, I would say. Okay. Kevin Swagger says, hey, now I was laid off last week. Have you ever unexpectedly lost your job, and how did you keep your spirits up if you have? I don't think I've ever been laid off. My thing is I'm a quitter. But that's not unexpected. I just quit. But that's a tough thing. That happened to one of my closest friends last year. Is just like, he was just pretty successful, had a job, just suddenly vanished. And that's like, it is kind of a traumatic thing. I would say, like, what you really have to do is remember that, like, your personal self-worth is not your status as an employed person. And our society is designed to make you constantly feel that way, but it's not true. And so it's super important to maintain like friendships and maintain family relationships, and like find sources of validity outside of employment, because the process of searching for a job is also really, like, I feel like the process of applying to jobs just always makes me feel like a worthless piece of shit. You know what I mean? Because you're getting a lot of rejections, you're getting ignored a lot, and you're just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just useless. Well, you're not. It's just that applying for jobs sucks. So do it mechanically. You know what I mean? Like, you have to sort of get into a mindset where you're like, almost like pretend you're your own employment agent, and like try to distance your sense of self-worth as much as possible from acceptance and rejection by jobs. I know that's hard, but that's the best advice I can come up with. Good luck. Zoe Roth says, my last two questions were super fucking vulnerable for me, so let's lighten this up. Since you're coming for our video games, what is your favorite video game? If ContraPoints was made into a video game, what genre of game would it be, and would it feature everyone within the Controverse? Love you, Natalie. Okay, thank you, Zoe. What is my favorite video game? I don't ever play video games, but I guess maybe Pokemon, like the original Red and Blue Pokemon, or The Sims. Maybe The Sims. If ContraPoints was a video game, what kind of game would it be? Probably dating simulator. I mean, people have made ContraPoints dating simulators, so I guess that. Okay. Cass May says, hey Natalie, I thought about how you described the men recruited by the alt-right in your most recent video. and realized that a friend and myself were like that in high school. No strong support system, trouble relating to women, etc., except that he was a conservative and I a liberal. Nowadays, he's absolutely part of the alt-right, and me, well, I became a woman. Funny how life works out. Thanks for another great video. Thank you, Cass, and congrats. Sorry, was there a question there? No, there was not. Okay, well, thank you, Cass. Foucault, but with hair, says, what a username. Hi, what are your thoughts on the reception of your latest video? It seems to be more mixed than your previous ones, on Reddit at least. With the main criticism being the content comedy balance is not being Marxist enough. Also, if you had to live stream reading a book for charity, what would you read? It has to be something long. Maps of Meaning, Phenomenology of Spirit, 50 Shades. It has to be long and meme-worthy. Okay, so my last video is doing, by the numbers, for the first 4 days, better than any video I've ever done. I don't really pay a lot of attention to what people are saying on Reddit, and part of that is that, like, you know, I'm at the level I'm at, it's really hard to respond to criticism that comes from, like, what people say online, because I'm constantly getting, like, every possible criticism and its opposite. So there's too many jokes. There's not enough jokes. You know, you're too Marxist. You're not Marxist enough. You look like a man. You sound like a valley girl. You sound like a man. You spend too much time on your appearance. You're ugly. You know, like it's just not super it's not super helpful for me to engage with these kinds of criticisms. It's better for me to, like, just, like, find some, like, close creative collaborators whose opinion I trust and talk to them. As for me not being Marxist enough, I mean, people have been complaining that I'm not Marxist enough since, like, the day I created my YouTube channel, and they're probably always going to be complaining about it because I'm not going to be a Marxist. I don't know why it's such a weird criticism to me. That, like, why is there just this expectation that I'm going to be a communist when I'm not and I've never been? I don't get it. What would I live stream? Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey out of those choices. I would honestly, like, I would love to live stream 50 Shades of Grey. I could do Pride and Prejudice too. The original 50 Shades of Grey. It's so much more than that, but it's yeah, I would have fun with that. 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey is exhausting because of the bad writing, but it's also, like, the first book in the 50 Shades series is, the writing is actually so bad that it's kind of entertaining. Whereas E.L. James actually improves as a writer by the third book, and as a result, it gets really boring because so much of what made the first book great was that the writing was so like creatively appalling that if that itself becomes a source of entertainment, which I definitely think would translate to, you know, reading on stream. Oh fuck, I forgot my straw. Joseph Rojas says, "Hi Nat, you've expressed in a few past streams that you've put perhaps quite a bit of thought into taking pre-transition videos down. When you've thought about it in the past, what keeps you from doing that / has kept you from doing that thus far? Is there a particular place in your channel you might have in mind that would be the new first video your stands would have access to? Also, I've been teaching at a university in Brazil over the past several months and have used many of your videos for classes. They were very well received, at least by those who understood, and you've gained a few Brazilian stands." Oh, well, that's nice. Hello, Brazilian stands. Yeah, probably if I were to take them down, the first one would be decrypting the alt-right. That would be on my current channel. But even if I took them down, I mean, I would upload them to an archive channel. Like, I would still have them publicly available, because I realize there's not anything I can do to actually take them off the internet. So what I would do is try to monetize the monetize the people who wanted against my will to see the old videos, and then at least I could profit from it. So that's probably what I would do if I end up doing that. I'm ruthless. Ruthless. That's how you make it as a tran in this world. You got to be ruthless. Eli Kim says, what was one of the ballsiest moves you've made in your recent purchases? Any exciting hauls? Adventurous grocery shopping? Impulsive eBay bidding? Yeah, let's see. I've just ordered some high heels, which I never have worn before. Well, I mean, I've worn them, obviously. I've worn them in videos. I've worn them on occasion, but I don't usually wear them because I'm too tall. And like in heels, if I'm wearing like a 3-inch heel, that makes me 6'4". A 4-inch heel makes me 6'5". So, you know, I kind of don't feel like I don't generally like feeling like a giant drag queen when I leave the apartment, but increasingly I kind of am at a stage in my life where I just don't really give that much of a fuck. And I think they look good on me. Like, they look good with my aesthetic. Like, if I'm wearing, if I have my long hair and my makeup and my dress, and then I'm wearing flats, like, that's kind of a disappointment, you know? So, I'm just gonna, if I look like a giant transsexual, then, well, I am a giant transsexual, so fair enough. That's gonna be my new philosophy, you know? Okay. Mike Bell says, the new watermark on your videos is dope. That's all. Have a good evening. Thanks, Mike. Actually, you should be telling Theron that, because she designed it. Naomi Alderman says, I completely agree with your men video that male gender identity can be even more of a straitjacket than female gender identity these days, and that rigid gender expectations destroy lives. I also think that women and NB people can't do the new expansive thinking about masculinity. It has to come from men. But I look at the people who aren't as principled about this and are willing to direct male anger toward, quote, feminazis, etc., saying that women are the source of the masculinity crisis. And I think about the violence women, NB people, and other groups experience from this misdirected rage, and I think, do I really have to sit on my hands through this one? But then, what could I actually do to help as a woman? Yeah, so, God, I'm like really like resonating with what you're saying right now about how like men blame women for the problems with masculinity, or they blame feminism for it, which is interesting. That's something that really interested me when I was when I was reading The Myth of Male Power, because like Warren Farrell says that, like, he says that we need men need a new gender role because the times have changed, and that's why, because our society's changed and it doesn't need women to be, nurturers, house domestic laborers, basically, and nor does it need men to be protector providers. And it's weird to me that men, instead of listening to what Farrell says there, instead they blame feminism. Oh, feminism destroyed the traditional role of protector provider, as if that's good. Well, wasn't the whole point of the men's rights activists writing that the protector provider role is bad because it's being protector provider that makes men disposable? Why are you blaming feminism for doing the thing that you think is supposed to happen? It's frustrating, but yeah, yeah, that's not your question, is it? You said, yeah, what can you actually do to help as a woman? You know, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's not much I can do besides like have the conversation. I mean, you can have the conversation, I think, is basically what you can do as a woman, but you also like, you can't, you know, hold yourself responsible for fixing men, because you can't do that. much as we want to, we cannot fix them. They've got to be their own masters, you know? Okay. NL Lumi says, this is hella long, so I'll understand if you want to gloss over some of the questions. Yeah, I most certainly will be glossing over the questions because you have asked 9 of them. Let's pick a couple. 1, do you follow your own channel's subreddit? I check in occasionally. I do not read it religiously. 2, could you elaborate on other mouth feels like masculine vagina or cut/uncut femurs? Listen, I don't want to do this one. What do you think about a critique against drag, claiming it as a caricature of femininity? I think drag is a lot more than a caricature of femininity. I think that it can sometimes be that, but I think it's often a lot more than that. And I think a lot of times it's a way of allowing queer or feminine men to direct, you know, to use their femininity to create a female persona. And like, that can be, you know, sometimes that can be crude caricature, but can also be other forms of comedy. It can also be extremely high art in terms of like its expression through dance and through singing and through makeup and through fashion and through, you know, acting. Like, drag can be a lot of things, and just to say, oh, it's just caricature as a woman, like, that's a really shallow, reading of drag, I think, and it demonstrates a really shallow knowledge of drag. Okay. Those are 2 questions. Tara Liederman says, hi, Natalie. I find that you are particularly incisive when you discuss issues of gender, like your recent video on men and masculinity, and I love it when you explore the discourse around gender as it exists online. Have you considered doing the amazing and possibly fated debate between Dr. Abigail Cockpain and Adria Finley in order to explore the conversational dynamics of online feminism between TERFs, SWERFs, and intersectional feminists? Bonus, it could be on the Freedom Report and Jackie can go down on some mad popsicles. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see myself doing any more TERF stuff for a long time, because I feel like I've kind of said my piece about TERFs and I'm over it, you know? I mean, probably, like, can I see bringing Abigail back? Yes, I can, because sometimes if I'm talking about a topic and you know, TERFs have a thing they say about it a lot that I think is funny. I will want to bring the TERF character in to do it, but like, apart from like those little cameos, I'm not doing another TERF video. I mean, I might do a video about sex work. That's like not completely out of the cards, and I definitely could have Abigail there as the swerf. But I don't think I'm going to do the TERF topic again now. Nawaz says, hey, apologies if this has been asked before. How do you feel about becoming somewhat of a trans icon or role model? Thank you, Queen. Thank you, oh Queen. Yeah, becoming a trans role model. So here's the thing. I like being YouTube famous for the most part. I really like the support from you guys. I love that I get to create for a living. These are all amazing things that have happened in my life. Being a trans role model, though, basically just sucks. Like, there's nothing good about it. And, you know, I feel like I can't be myself. I feel like there's just, you know, trans people are a huge group of people, and they all want me to be what they think is the right kind of trans person. And no one agrees on what that is, of course. And literally no one can be that. And I just think it's super shitty that people expect me to be the ideal tran instead of just being some stupid asshole, which is what I am. And like, I don't know. I'm just exhausted with it, you know? Like, there was a time I got, you know, I used to get really upset about, oh, the people that, you know, trans people on Twitter are mad at me. Like, earlier in my transition, there was a lot of anger and heartbreak that I felt and that I think trans Twitter felt towards me. It was a mutual thing. And, you know, over time, that's just kind of crystallized into this just cold war of resentment that I just kind of take for granted, you know? Like, I don't even care. Like, when trans people decide on this week's thing that they hate me for, I mute those accounts and move on, you know? That's it. I don't engage with this anymore. I'm just too tired and too bored, and I'm so sick of the disingenuous bullshit. Oh boy, I'm going off more than I should be, aren't I? Well, oops. Yeah, there's also like, you know, there's this issue where people will tell me like, oh, you know, your videos are so inspiring to me as a trans person. Like, I transitioned because of you. And I'm always like, oh God, no, don't do that. Like, you should not be transitioning because you stan some woman on the internet. Like, that's madness. And it just like, it worries me. It worries me because, like FFS, transitioning is like, it really fucks your life up, you know? Like, I'm not saying that transitioning isn't good for trans people. It is good for us. It is the best thing for us. But it's really not a thing you should do because you like a YouTuber. And when people make it sound like that's why they did it, I get very worried. Because my goal is not at all to trans people. I don't want to trans anyone. If I'm helpful in someone, like, you know, coming out to themselves, and I'm like a little piece of a bigger journey, okay, that's fine. That's one thing. But this, like, I realized I was trans because of you. That makes me super worried. You know? So yeah, honestly, I could do without that part of my public life, the role model part or the trans icon part, but I'm stuck with it, so I'm trying to make the best of it, you know? Okay, Jessica Loganov says, I feel bad that males have to start work now on redefining their gender when females have like a 40-year head start on them. Do you have any idea if it would be better for them to use feminism as a template or to try to do it from scratch? Me personally, when I turned to feminism to try to figure out how to live as a man, I ended up as a woman, so I can't say. Yeah. I don't think feminism should be used as a template. Well, maybe in certain ways it should, but here's what concerns me about using feminism as a template for a men's movement. And my worry is that then you get meninism, right? Because feminism has conventionally been about, you know, power between the genders, right? And it's been about women seeking more power in society to become equal to men. Well, a men's movement that's based around like, oh, hegemonic females, how, you know, like, that's how you get meninism. That's how you get MRAs. So I think it has to be something different. You know, now that said, like, I think a men's movement should definitely be informed by feminism. Like, maybe even go so far as to say it should be feminist itself. But it should not be like the male equivalent to feminism. I don't think that's quite the right way to think about it. Okay, what am I doing? My voice is going. Vicky Lynn says, isn't there a rationalist explanation for the existence of trans and non-binary people? Let me preface this by saying that personally, I'm an atheist. However, if belief in a deity helps people, then good for them. I ask this question because in your video, Trans Trenders, you seem to provide two explanations for our existence. Personally, I favor Baltimore's position that we don't need an explanation. Still, isn't there another possibility? Descartes believed that God somehow gave him the ability to be self-aware, so couldn't it be also said that a deity caused us to have a priori knowledge and that we're trans or non-binary? I love your work. Sure. I think that if you're the kind of person who likes to do grand philosophical explanations of things and you are inclined to be like a Cartesian theist, you could absolutely suggest through some set of rational principles that God has made you aware of your gender. Now, I am not that kind of person, and I'm not remotely interested in doing that. But if other people out there are, then could you do it? Sure. Why not? I see no reason why you couldn't apply that kind of philosophy to gender. It's just not. It's not really my vision. It's not my vibe. It's not my moment. Okay, CCB6B32, etc., says, you've previously said that you don't read much philosophy anymore, but are there any other areas of academic pursuit that currently interest you enough to get you to really dive into them? For example, economics or history. What was the last academic or quasi-academic book that you read and enjoyed? So, for the next video that I'm working on, I'm going to dive into a bunch of sociology stuff. And because I intend that the next video I'm working on, I think I said this earlier in the stream, but it's going to be more research heavy than any video I've done in a long time. And I think part of that is I'm going to use some academic sources in sociology and in maybe even like aesthetic philosophy and art history. I won't go into more than that, but the last academic book I read was The Myth of Male Power. I always read, you know what I mean? I'm always reading Jordan Peterson. I'm always reading Ray Blanchard. I'm always reading Warren Farrell, you know? my reading life is pretty sad, right? It's, I read the writers whom are bad. I don't know how bad Warren Farrell is. I think he's said some pretty shitty things in more recent years. Although I thought The Myth of Male Power is kind of an interesting book, even if I don't really agree with the movement that it spawned. Okay. Mippet says, apologies if this has been asked previously. Any advice or pro tips on coming out to my not so accepting parents? Transitioning from man to a woman. Thanks. Well, one thing to keep in mind is even if your parents are very accepting, most of the time, like it's going to take months for your parents to really get it. Because, you know, even if your parents want to, because what happens with a lot of people's parents when they come out as trans is their parents think of themselves as progressively minded people who in the abstract would accept a trans child, but once they have a trans child in front of them, let me know in the chat if this is working. Okay. And so, like, you know, even if you're, you know, no matter how much your parents are trying to accept you, like things like name, pronouns, like I've just never known it not to take, like I've never known that to happen in less than 6 months. So be prepared for that in the best case scenario. as far as tips on coming out to not so accept, if you're concerned that they're less accepting than that, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, if they're really going to be hostile, like, you might want to wait to come out to them until you're in a situation where you're going to be safe without their support. You know, that's painful to say, but it's just unfortunately reality that if your parents are your only form of financial support, you know, you might want to hold off on telling them until you have a backup. Because unfortunately, it's just it's like rejection is common. And I know a lot of trans people who've been, homeless for a while because they came out to their parents and their parents were not having it. So grim realities, but I'd be irresponsible if I didn't mention it. If you are independent, you have your own place, you're making money, then I would say, maybe put it in writing first, which lets them know that you're very serious about it and gives you an opportunity to explain yourself without interruptions. And ultimately, like, when it comes to coming out to people who have known you as your birth gender for a long time, and your parents have known you for a very long time, I mean, it's ultimately, people don't believe it till they see it. That's my personal experience, is that, I kind of told people in my life that, like, look, I'm taking female hormones. Like, I want you to call me Natalie now. And people were just like, they were just like, okay, I guess I'll do that because I'm progressive, even though I don't understand this at all. And then, like, a year later, like, they're just used to me being Natalie, and they just, and that's just the way things are. So in a sense, I think that my experience with getting people to accept me is that it's like, show, don't tell. Telling people that you're a woman doesn't work. Showing them that you are does. And that takes a long time. So it's just a shitty process. It takes a long time. Good luck. Oh, it's this one. You don't get a thank you, babe says. No question this time. An apology instead that you can read aloud or not. Up to you. Last time I made you read a joke that you were canceled at the end of the AMA. It was spur of the moment, and I thought it was funny when I first thought of it, but on seeing you read it, it seems like maybe it stung a little. For my neglect to consider that it might hurt, I'm sorry. No, I don't remember this at all, by the way, so I'm sure it's fine. I feel like people make jokes about me being canceled all the time, so I don't think... I'm sure I wasn't actually offended. You're good. Okay, and I see you've also asked a question, so I'll get to that. Here's my question then. Your costumes are wicked awesome, and now that your production budget allows it, do you have plans to bring back some more older characters from your dialectics with costume updates? And can you please decline to tell us who, just so we can speculate that it's Tabby? Yeah, I do have a plan, actually, to bring back a character soon who hasn't been around for a while. He hasn't been around for almost a year now, and I think this character might be in my next video. I'm thinking about it, but I'll let you speculate. Rachel Beefy says, hey Nat, how are you? Hey, how are you? How's your life been lately? Any good gossip? What's the tea on the day-to-day life of Natalie lately? Well, what's the tea that I can spill on a Patreon AMA? That's the real question. Jesus. I'm looking for something like lightweight, and instead, like, really heavy shit keeps coming into my head. I mean, I can't really gossip about other people because I will literally start feuds if I do that. Because I mean, believe me. Oh, you want behind the scenes left tube tea, honey? There's such good tea, but I just can't. I'm sorry, because I don't want to start that. I don't want to start shit. So I guess I'll stick to personal stuff about me. What's going on with me? I'm kind of having this, like, sexuality issue where, like, here we go. where like I basically have only dated men since I came out as trans, and like I like dating men, but I'm really kind of starting to feel the absence of like any like woman, like any female presence from my romantic life. And it's something that's been like super freaking hard for me, because like I actually have a lot of self-loathing over being attracted to women. And this is like so much more than you asked for with this question. This is just something that's kind of constantly on my mind lately, though, so that's why it's like coming up. Like, I feel like being attracted to women makes me less of a woman. I feel like I lack like positive role models of trans lesbians, and I feel like being attracted to women means I have to be a Lolita cosplay cat girl, which I don't want to be. And I just had this like weird internalized homophobia. It's like weirdly stronger than the internalized transphobia. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, where did it come from? You know? And I don't know how to like fix it. So I guess I'm just gonna keep dating men, which is fine. I do like dating men, but like it still bothers me a little bit that there's a like, huge part of my sexuality that's just like neglected. And that's just and I can't say, you know what I mean? It just comes out in bad ways. Like, I fall for my girlfriends. That's such lesbian bullshit. The bisexual agony of it all. Sarah Keith says, "Hi Natalie. I wanted to offer some observations, which you do not have to read aloud online. Make a request and offer a suggestion." Okay, let's see if I can get to the request and suggestion. Okay, your request is get healthy. Give us one thought-provoking video a month. That's what I want in exchange for my $15. Your mind at its sharpest in one video a month. Now, my suggestion. As November 2020 approaches, please try to resist the temptation to invest too heavily or do multiple sequential videos. Sharpshooting and deconstructing flawed thinking on topics that are way, way, way out to the left. While I understand your motivation and learn a ton every time I watch them, think about continuing to draw in centrist, center-right, and center and right-wing audiences with videos covering topics that will appeal to and resonate with them. That's all. Be well. So I'm pretty healthy. Like, I know on these live streams you probably don't see me at my healthiest, but I drink much less than I used to. Like, much less. Like, I was embarrassing myself when I went on this cabin trip with my friends, because like I would have like 2 beers and just be like trashed. And to put that into perspective, you know, at the height of my like alcoholism, when I was like 25 or so, like, I mean, on a weekend, I would drink a 6-pack of beer and then a bottle of wine. And so now, like, I'm a little bit tipsy now. I've had 1 hard cider. I think I'll have a second one, but I'm a little tipsy from 1 cider, and this is 5% alcohol. So my tolerance has gone way down. So, and I do eat pretty healthy, so that's super freaking great. Now, as for videos, yeah, well, I definitely do intend to, believe me, Sarah, I'm not gonna get stuck. I'm not gonna make a bunch of videos that are about far left nonsense. Sorry, I tried to say that's a little harsh. I'm not gonna make a bunch of videos that are about, like, you know, there's no forthcoming videos about Trotskyism. Like, believe me, my main interest isn't speaking to the center and speaking to people who are center left or even people who are on the right. And in 2020, that's certainly, I mean, I think that's what I'm good at, for one thing, right? No one likes my videos about far left topics. But what I'm good at, and what I built this channel doing, is doing content that like speaks to an audience that's pretty, you know, pretty centrist. And that is what I intend to keep doing. Okay. I'm gonna drink this cider slow because, as I said, lightweight. I'm not doing a video about tankies, no. I don't think that, I don't care enough. I don't care about tankies. It's just not interesting to me. And they're like, tankies are not a very influential group in the grand scheme of American politics, you know? Like, tankies are an annoyance on, like, in, like, left book. To me, that doesn't warrant a video topic. I don't know. Okay. Emma says, hi, Natalie. No question. Just want to thank you for everything you do. You've not only helped me really focus on what I care about socially and politically, but I think it's pretty safe to say that without you, I also would not have made the most important realization of my life, that I'm trans. You're a good one. Don't let the bastards grind you down, Emma. Thank you, Emma. We'll suspend what I just said about how I hate the thought that I made people trans, but I will interpret this in the more charitable way, which is that I was a part of your process of realization, and not that you decided that you were trans because you watched my videos. Okay. Congratulations either way. You seem like you're happy. That's super fucking great. Well, is that really sarcastic? What is wrong with me? I love trans women. I do kind of love trans women. I keep getting, so to go back to the like repressed lesbianism, I find myself having these crushes on trans women all the time, and it's like I have like double self-loathing about that, because like not only do I have like this weird self-loathing about being attracted to women, but then like when I'm attracted to trans women, it's like not only am I attracted to women, but like am I also a chaser? Oh god, like am I a trans chaser? No, I don't want to be that. You guys did not ask for this. David Gonclave says, after wrapping up on a Goncalves, David says, after wrapping on a video, how long does it take to strike the sets, and where on earth does all that stuff go? I have a spare bedroom that I'm using as a closet, and it's completely full of stuff. And at some point, I feel like the left would be mad at me if I started auctioning stuff off. But at some point, it would make sense to do that. I guess I could auction it off and give all the auction money to charity. Would the left be mad at me? Well, I guess. Why do I care what the left thinks? So, I don't know. You guys didn't get mad at Ollie and Harry for doing giant charity streams, so maybe you won't get mad at me for auctioning things for charity. Okay. La Teta Antifascista says, Hola Linda, this thing have been going in my mind and I wanted to ask for your opinion. I live in a country where there's absolutely no race identification. Although people sometimes look different from one another, that is not something you have to declare to the state or a way in which police identifies you. For instance, this does not mean we live in a place where being white isn't considered the desirable way to look. Rather than being white is much more a class status than a phenotypical marker. We even use the word negro, black, as a slur and as a term of endearment at the same time, regardless of the skin color of the person. How would you comment on this from a USA point of view, muchas besos? Yeah, well, I mean, in the US, like, race is a whole different situation from that. uh, I mean, my understanding, like, I'm guessing based on what you're saying that you're from Central or Mexico or from Central or South America. And I think that from what I understand about race in those places, like, race is, I feel like race is more than just like than just a class thing, though it is also maybe a class thing there. Like, but I don't know. I'm not the expert. Yeah, we don't use the word black as a term of endearment, that's for sure. But I don't know. That's starting to change. There's an increasing number of white people in this country who want to look like black people. That's a fascinating little phenomenon. Ariana. I guess that's different though. I don't know that I necessarily have commentary on that, except that, yeah, as the chat is saying, I do think that probably Latin America is pretty white supremacist still. Caleb Roma says, the humor in your videos seems to have shifted and changed pretty dramatically in your videos over time. How did those shifts happen? Were they conscious, like trying to have particular effects on particular audiences, or more a side effect of your own sense of humor changing? Is a joke usually something you thought of that made you laugh during writing, or do you plan them in the sense of spacing and tone and flow? Both, I guess. Like, I do try to plan them in terms of space and tone and flow, but often I do think of them as I'm writing. I don't know, has my sense of humor changed? Like, I don't watch my videos, to be clear. So, like, this is increasingly a kind of this a kind of growing gap between me and my viewers when it comes to talking about and even understanding my videos as like a body of work, because my audience is at this point much more familiar with my videos than I am. Like, videos that are 2 years old, I haven't watched them in well over a year, and I don't really remember very well what I said. So it's a little bit awkward to have these conversations, because I feel like my audience actually is more informed about my videos than I am. So this is like my question for you, almost like, has my sense of humor changed? I don't know. Can you tell me about that? I'm curious to learn. like, because I don't know if it's changed or not, because I don't think back that far, you know, and I certainly don't watch back that far. I suspect in recent videos, there's some Theron influence, right? Because Theron is increasingly helping me to sort of, she will go over the script with me. And like I still write the main script, but Theron adds her like little Theron spice. And like, so a lot of these jokes based on like the way words sound, like that's like Theron influence. Like, hey, how are you? Like, that's how Theron and I talk to each other. Hey, Gorge. Hey, Gorge. Like, if I call Theron, like, literally the first, like, 10 seconds of any conversation I have with Theron is I'll be like, hey, Gorge. And she'll be like, hey, Gorge. And I'll be like, hey, Gorge. Hey, Gorge. Hey, Gorge. And, like, that's kind of how we start a conversation. Hey, how are you? And I just think it's hilarious. So I kind of started putting it in videos. So someone in the chat says that I'm more careful now for fear of being called out. In a sense, that's true. And for a period, I definitely was a little more cautious about being called out. But I don't know. In this last video, I was pretty edgy. Like, making jokes about like being a cross-dresser and shit. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like recently I've gone back to doing like that kind of self-deprecating stuff, in part because like I've just gotten like, I've become weary with transphobia. Like, in a sense, like transphobia doesn't bother me as much as it used to. Like, I guess for a while it seemed super fucking important to me to like constantly um, like constantly argue that I was a woman. And like so many of the videos I did in the last 2 years are basically me arguing that I'm a woman. And I just don't do that anymore. Like I'm over it. Like, and it's not, and the way I got over it was not necessarily the way you expect. Cause it's not like, oh, I finally overcome my internalized transphobia. And now I'm so certain that I'm a woman that it doesn't bother me. No, it's kind of the opposite of that actually. It's more like the transphobia that I'm constantly around has I've kind of just accepted that it's never ever going away. And that, you know, with the size of my audience, like, yeah, most people are never going to really view me as a woman. So that's what I've accepted, you know? And so I'm just kind of like, well, whatever. Instead of trying to convince people that I'm a woman, like, I'm just going to deal with it. I'm just going to deal with the fact that they don't think I'm a woman. You know what I mean? And so, okay, I understand that a lot of people think I'm a cross-dresser. Fine. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care, you know? Like, I don't care if I'm really a woman or not. I think that, like, I'm, you know, this is how I want to live my life. And I know that, you know, when I leave the house, like, I get treated as a woman, you know? Like, people read me as a woman. And I mean, I don't think I have not been called sir in like at least a year at this point. And like, so this notion that I'm a man, you know, I'm not saying that like passing makes you a woman, right? Like, no, nor does not passing make you not a woman. But I do think that in my case, the fact that I basically pass in most situations, has made me a little bit lazy, I guess, about arguing. Because like, you know what I mean? Like if I was offline, this wouldn't really be a problem for me, right? I had to work on my voice a little more, but I could basically go stealth, or stealth-ish, you know? Like, most cis people are not super good at clocking trans people, fortunately. But on the internet, it's a whole other situation, you know? Like, on the internet, you know, on the internet, I'm never really going to be accepted as a woman. And I understand that now. And like, so it's kind of, in a way, I think that's changed my joke writing. Like, I feel like my joke writing has had to become a little more sophisticated in a sense, because it has to cope with these ironies of the fact that like, I am a woman, but, you know, I'm a trans woman, and that means that most people on the internet are going to perceive me, because they know I'm a trans woman. They're going to think of me as a man, and that at one time was very hurtful. But increasingly, I'm kind of learning how to deal with it. And one of the ways I deal with it is with this kind of irony, where I make a lot of jokes about you know, like, as rational males. Like, it's different people who watch my videos are gonna perceive that joke in a lot of different ways, and I sort of feel in control of that now, in a way that I sort of felt out of control so much in the first year of my transition. Now I'm just like, you know, ultimately, people online thinking I'm a man, like, it doesn't really get in the way of me living the life I want to live. So, fuck 'em. Like, okay, like, I just don't, like, there's just no point in me trying to sit around convincing them all day. Like, okay, they're not going to be convinced. So I need to ignore that and move on, or just, or make a joke about it and move on. And I'm making sense right now. I'm not sure that I am. This all makes sense to me because it's like something I think about like every day, but I wonder if it's not making sense. I don't know. Next question. Okay, we just did Caleb, right? Yes. Just Gallant Genius says, "Hi Natalie, does your mood affect your writing process or your acting? For example, you start deviating from the script or start writing things you should not. If it does, do you just roll with it or allow yourself a day to clear your head and start anew? Thanks for all your work." I think I often feel like my mood is affecting my writing, but in retrospect, I'm not sure that it actually does. Like I was I was pretty depressed for most of the first half of 2019, and I was pretty like high mood for most of like summer 2018. But I'm not sure you can actually tell any difference between the tone of those videos and the 2019 videos. You know, like if you want to track my moods, like let's go through my whole catalog, and like not my whole catalog, but let's go through like the last year or so, and I'll tell you which videos I was depressed when I was making and which ones I was like up when I was making. I'm not saying that I'm bipolar, but I might be a little bipolar. I don't know. It's best not to think about it too much. Okay, Tiffany tumbles. That was a depression moment, obviously. And but the West, that was a high point. Incels was high. Aesthetic was high. Pronouns was low. Apocalypse was low. R-Trap's gay was high. Darkness was low. Gender critical was very mixed. Beauty was low. Transgenders was low. Men was a bit higher. Yeah, I don't think that means anything. I don't think it makes a difference. Thanks, Genius. Sean Brandon says, "Hi Natalie, love the latest video. I was wondering how many takes did you need to practice the verbal fiber club? It was really funny, and I can't do it without cracking up every time." Wow. So a lot of the jokes for this video were kind of written when I was in Vancouver, hanging out with Theron, and like, so this was one of the ones I wrote, but like, I guess I just thought it, like, I just said this casually in conversation with her. I was like, Theron, I took the red pill, and I rubbed it on my club. And we just like both thought it was hilarious. So into the video goes. And like she comes up with stuff like that. Like Theron, I mean, I gave her a co-writer credit on this video because she contributed so much to this one. Like Theron has a sense of, so my sense of humor, like my sense of humor, I think it's very like writerly. Like the way I write jokes, it's like a writer approaches a joke. So it's all based on twists. Like you could tell that it's a Natalie joke if it's based on a twist, especially like so like a really like Natalie writer joke in this video is what is it? You know, I was dying inside. It was like I was trapped in the wrong body, and now it's like I finally have the body I was meant to die inside of. Like that is peak like me writing, because it's based on like I take a cliche and then I twist the cliche in an unexpected direction to make it kind of dark and fucked up. That's like the archetype of my style of joke. The archetype of a Theron style joke is that it doesn't necessarily mean anything at all. It just sounds funny. So from the bottom of my motherfucking and my fatherfucking heart, that must be super fucking hard for you. I can't even imagine. That's a Theron joke. Because it sounds funny. Like what does it mean? From the bottom of my motherfucking and my fatherfucking heart. Like that doesn't mean anything. It just sounds funny. And like Theron actually like trained me to say that the way she wanted to say it, because she thought it was funny. She was like, and so I practiced saying with her, from the bottom of my motherfucking and my fatherfucking heart, that must be super fucking hard for you. I can't even imagine. Because actually earlier we'd always say oh, from the bottom of my motherfucking and my fatherfucking heart, that's super fucking crazy. Hey, how are you? And like, this is just what me and Theron think is hilarious. So like honestly, I could call her right now, and you know, we would say like we could say in unison the exact same rhythm, from the bottom of my motherfucking and my fatherfucking heart, that's super fucking crazy. Hey, how are you? And like And yeah, I think that's why I think we make a really great like Lennon McCartney kind of comedy writing team, because like I will write these the structure of a script, and I'll write these jokes, these writerly jokes that are based on twists, and then Theron will go through it with me, and then she'll just basically make everything funnier by adding these little adding these like little flourishes. Hey, how are you? I'm being so good about not touching my hair. You guys should be fucking proud of me. Okay. Gosh, my voice is like going. Todd Pagel says, "Greetings, Digital Messiah. How close are we to the podcast you mentioned last month?" So we're going to record the first 2 episodes tomorrow night, and then we will send it to the distributor, and if they like it, it will hopefully be published soon. So I don't know when exactly, but soonish. Also, I need a poster for my bathroom, obviously, of the promo shot you posted for men. Are you thinking of adding any such images to your merch lineup? You invented beauty. Thank you, Todd. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any immediate plans, I don't think, to like make posters that are just like stills of my videos or thumbnails, but you could always go to FedEx and have them print one out. Okay, Chris Rent says, which philosophers do you feel were key to your personal moral outlook or views of society? How or what about them influenced you the most? Moral outlook or views of society? Well, I'm actually not super influenced by a lot of moral philosophers. Like, to me, I think like what moral philosophy has done is like changed the way I think about like the way I think about thinking about morality. You know what I mean? Like, so when you do like your basic like undergraduate level like moral philosophy classes, you learn like deontology and consequentialism and utilitarianism and virtue ethics and all that kind of stuff. And like most people don't come out of that being like, oh, I know the correct moral theory, it's utilitarianism. Like, definitely some people do. I know some some guys like that. But I think more common is that it teaches you like in a way the limits of trying to rationally think through everything. And so I find I end up with a more like pragmatic approach that I think is more influenced by Wittgenstein or Rorty, in terms of being like, there's no correct moral theory, but what you're doing in moral philosophy is you're kind of like systematizing the ways that we sort of normal people think about morality, and you're trying to make them more consistent, right? But of course there's a limit to that. I don't think there's a correct morality. I think that you can try to be more consistent, but sometimes the attempt to be perfectly consistent becomes its own kind of madness, right? And that's that's why utilitarianism is fraught with these ridiculous thought experiments about, okay, but what if you have 4 people on one train track and blah 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 blah, or cutting up a healthy person to harvest their organs, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't find this a super helpful approach, to be honest. Vincent Thierry says, hi Natalie, how do you decide which books to read when researching a topic? I'm guessing there's a lot of Ferman trash you skipped past for your newest video. Thanks a bunch, and please do a Chicago Midwest something soon. I'd love to attend a lecture or something. Okay. How do I decide which books to read? Well, sometimes, when it came to, the men video, it was actually Theron who suggested me to read The Myth of Male Power, because Theron has a history, you know, of involvement with like men's rights activists in her past life, and like, so she knew, like, you know, what those people, you know, what they read. And so I read it for that reason. I mean, not that you have to go super out of your way to find this information out. Like, I also, you know, I consumed a lot of like MRA media. Like, I watched The Red Pill by Cassie, what's her name? Cassie J. And I, you know, read the subreddit a lot. And you kind of just see what comes up, what people are talking about, what gets recommended. You know, I'll often like tell friends of mine, like, what topic I'm working on for a video, and oftentimes they have recommendations like, oh, that makes me think of this, 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 and then I'll be like, ooh, I didn't think of that, and then I'll go track that down and I add it kind of to the list of things that I'm looking at, or that are my research list for the video. So I often try to get more than one person's perspective and more than one person's like knowledge of like research topics, because that way I can get a bigger look at the topic. Bibis Babis says, hi Natalie, have you watched any of the new Netflix She-Ra? If so, what do you think? I actually have not watched it, although I did kind of follow the like silly Twitter controversy about like She-Ra's been masculinized by the SJW agenda. My partner and I really have been enjoying the latest season 3 on Netflix. So far, it's our favorite season. We were saying that Princess Angela reminds us of your The West fairy outfit, and Light Hope reminds us of your digital messiah. Check out the pics of them below, and maybe check out the show for some costume ideas. Okay, let's take a look. Princess Angela. It's probably Princess Angela, huh? Ooh, we stand. Yeah, that's a good fairy look. I want to do another fairy look, actually. That was fun. Let's see. Light Hope. Oh, that's really cool. That is very digital messiah. Yeah, I see that. Okay, Jack Austin Vincent says, sorry, I'm touching my hair. I'm sorry. Hey Natalie, was struggling for a question, but currently listening to the Hounds of Love, so I figured I could just ask you, do you enjoy any album songs by Kate Bush? Keep making the good videos. Can I even name a Kate Bush song off the top of my head? I don't think I can, but I feel like I have listened to one, so I'm going to start typing Kate Bush into Google and see if it suggests any videos that I've... It's not suggesting anything. I'm sorry. I don't really know. I don't know her. Well, you should tell me what songs I should listen to, or albums. Leave it in the comments. Thank you, Jack. Michaela Malvasia says, I've noticed in the last couple months that I hold almost all my psychological pain in my spleen. It can be excruciating and chronic pain, and often talk therapy does help. I've been in therapy for almost 10 years. But sometimes days I spend alone or with myself can result in a sensation like a nagging or bruise on my organ, or like a tension that needs to be massaged but the pain can't be reached. Wondering if you feel psychological pain in a physiological way, and how you might deal with it, and trust it will not last forever, aside from the fun ways that is alcohol, etc. Lol, appreciate you and thank you. I guess I feel like, like a lot of people, I feel like tension or stress or depression as like a headache, or just as a kind of overall like physical tenseness and tightness. And what really helps me is like massage, actually, or head scratches. I am a secret cat girl. I love head scratches. I have a lot of self-loathing, and it's super fucking difficult for me to admit this, but like I really like head scratches. And like I love getting a manicure, and like they must like give you like a little hand massage with lotion at the end. Like, this is the greatest thing. Like, or like just like little like neck massages or whatever, like just like have your friend like rub like I mean sex is good, sure, but like have you had a neck massage? Like like I don't know, that stuff really helps me. And I like a lot of weird stuff on my face. Like I mean I love like having my like temples rubbed, and I really like, so I really can't do this on myself. I'm giving you guys way too much information about me. But like I really love it when someone like puts their hand like right between my eyebrow, their finger right between my eyebrows, and like massages that spot. I don't know why, but it's like I can't do it to myself. Like this, like I don't. This is nothing. This does nothing for me. I don't care. But like if someone else like massages it like very gently, like sort of in a circular motion, rubs right between my eyes, it's really relaxing and it like, causes pain to go away. Sometimes like ear massages too. Those are nice. Okay, this is this is a weird stream. Oh, I also just bought this like facial massager thing that has been, I think, I don't know if it actually helps with the swelling in my jaw, but it's a placebo. It's really weird. Let me show. It looks like this. And I got it, like I got this. It looks like a torture device, but what you do is you like rub it up. I'm not gonna do it because it's gonna fuck my makeup up, but you can do it. I can do it on my neck, and it like, it rolls and like, it kind of like, what it's supposed to do is like, I don't know, help you drain your lymph nodes or whatever. Who knows if it actually works? But I got it because I watched Liv Tyler doing her beauty routine for a video for Vogue. And she had that thing. And I was like, that shit is what I need for my FFS swelling. And so I got it and it kind of works. I like it anyway. You guys in the chat are suggesting me all kinds of stuff. Crystal rollers. I should get these things because I love all of this kind of nonsense. Okay. Caroline Jones says, "Hey Natalie, I really liked your hair in the photo for the paper interview. Thank you. The slightly crinkled look reminds me of a hair crimper thing I had as a kid in the early noughties." Yeah, it looks very like that era, doesn't it? The person who was doing my hair, I didn't do my hair for that shoot. It was a hairstylist who like, this was also the end of a day of doing different photo shoots, which you'll see. I'll post them later. But like, I had done one early in the day that involved like my hair being like in these like gel waves, and so she had to comb all the fucking gel out of my hair. So my hair in that is it's a little like fried from like combing the gel out. But I'm glad you like it. Yes. Anyway, my question is sort of about your views on the community and living normal lives / having the picket fence and kids kind of life. I'm in my early 20s and I've been thinking a lot lately about happy endings in the LGBT plus community and how they just somehow feel more uncommon than they do for cishet people. Oh yeah, this is you're really hitting me here, Caroline, I don't know, however you identify, I support. I think I've probably got this impression partly from the lack of cute rom-coms about us / media representation, but I do also get the feeling that there isn't enough talk of settling down within the community itself. And if it is mentioned, that it's sometimes talked down as conforming to cishet ideals. I've always wanted to be a mother regardless of who I have kids with, so this does bother me. I'm bi and I've noticed a distinct difference in how people react and how likely marriage and kids feels depending on whether it's happening with a man or a woman. I'm young and all this is probably miles off, but I guess I'd just be interested to hear your opinion. Thank you. Yeah, this is like something that I honestly like, it honestly does bother me, and it's kind of like something that sort of torments me as I go into my 30s, because like my biological clock is ticking. No, but but it kind of is, like, not literally, but like in my head it kind of is, you know, like trans women don't, Like, name 5 trans women you can think of who are happily married. I can't do it. Wait, one who I know. One who just got married and is famous, Gigi Gorgeous. I'm out. I can only think of 2, and they're both lesbians. Jesus. Yeah, it's like hard to imagine happiness for yourself in the long term. It is. And I also feel what you're saying about the bisexual thing, where like, there's part of me that like wants to, like, here's the homophobia thing again, right? Like, there's part of me that thinks like marrying a man will help me live a normal, happy life more so than marrying a woman, or than, you know what I mean? It's like easier to imagine marrying a man, and like people get so it's not, it's, if you're a woman and you marry a man, like, society congratulates the shit out of you for doing that, you know what I mean? Because that's like what success looks like to a woman, for a woman in society, right? Is to have a successful marriage to a man. And especially if you have any like insecurity about your womanhood, which most trans women do, the idea of like marrying a man and having a white picket fence and all that is actually incredibly attractive. And it's definitely something I feel. And like, but here's the thing, like, here's the other thing though, because I'm not sure I do want to marry a man, because I know what men are like, and like, you know, again, like as I'm in my 30s, like, I know that I'm gonna age, and like, I'm not sure I want to age married to a man, because I don't know, like, I don't know if I can, I don't know if my heart can take, like, hold on. I need to take a 10-second break here, or I'm gonna cry. And I don't want this to be a cry stream. I'm gonna drink caffeine. I'm gonna collect myself. The thought of aging under the male gaze at home is like terrifying to me. And sometimes I think that like if I married a woman, it wouldn't be, you know, problem solved. The male gaze has been banished from this house, you know. You know what I mean? Like, and I also think that like, because like with men, it's like, I feel like women just become like sexually like invisible to men after like a certain age that's not that much older than I am right now. And like, but it's different with lesbians, because they don't seem to have that. Like, lesbians are more attracted to older women, I think, than straight men. So like, maybe I should marry a woman. I don't know, Caroline. I'm really, this bisexual angst is very real for me right now. So I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you 100% here, girl. Okay. Rachel Ann says, where do you see yourself 5, 10, 20 years down the road? You guys are just you guys all trying to trigger an existential crisis. I don't know. So 5 years, I think I'll probably still be doing YouTube or something similar. 10 and 20 years, it's very, very difficult for me to predict. You know, I'm kind of at a point where like, I do kind of want like a life partner. And I guess part of that desire comes from like, you know, at the beginning of this year, I felt like very, very deeply in love with someone who did not feel the same about me. But the amount that this is this stream, I hope you guys are enjoying your parasocial, all the parasocial bones I'm throwing you, because it's, yeah, I fell super in love with someone at the beginning of this year, and then like, and they weren't into it, so that's not happening. But like, being really really in love kind of made me like, because I'd sort of never before like seen myself as the kind of person who would like settle down with someone, but like with this one person, I was like, fuck, like I could absolutely like wake up to this person every morning and be like totally happy about it for the rest of my life, you know? And so that kind of made me like able to imagine a happy life that was like that. Which is not just like, I mean, maybe, I don't know that I'm monogamous. Like, I don't know if I am or not. I mean, is anyone like really like, oh, I'm truly monogamous, I'm truly polyamorous, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know, but I could imagine being in a long-term monogamous relationship. I can imagine being in a long-term like relationship with a primary partner where there was, you know, some openness on the side. And like, honestly, I could even imagine being in some kind of like triad or some weird shit like that. But like, I'm at a point now where I'm like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life just like casually dating, you know? And like, I don't know, I want someone to build a life with, you know? And that just seems like really out of reach to me right now, but it's something that I do think I want. Well, I'm getting really serious about this. I'm gonna go pee and then we'll come back to this. Okay, parasocial stream is parasocial. Um, so instead of like messing with my hair all the time, I'm gonna try brushing it, because I just got this new hairbrush and it's amazing. Ugh, I just like brush my hair all day with this. Do you guys think it's like, be brutally honest with me, is it like super unfeminine when I say I'm gonna go pee? Like, am I basically being a man when I say that? Because like, what do you say instead of that though? Like, do you like, can you really like unironically in 2019 say like, I have to go powder my nose? You know what I mean? like I feel like that seems like super cringe to me. But I'm like, but saying like I have to pee, like that seems like such a man thing to say. Maybe not. Look, women pee too, okay? I will not be shamed by your patriarchal bullshit. I need to use the girls' room. Yeah, I need to visit the ladies' room. That's like the more genteel, I suppose. what way to say it? I'm just laughing at the chat. You guys are funny. Okay. Andre Demise says, "Hi Natalie, first of all, thanks for taking a moment in your last video to make a mention of the fact that men as a category can shift in power based on racial perceptions. I have literally been in elevators alone with white women who hit a different button and got off the elevator early. That's not a good feeling. Jesus Christ. Are white women really out here being this much of a piece of shit? Apparently." God damn it. Also, thanks for suggesting that economic equality alone won't solve the inherent problems with masculinity. There's plenty of history to show that socialism and social programs can't close the gap on their own. Regarding the recent popularity of leftist Twitch and YouTube channels, do you see the trend towards leftists debating in the marketplace of ideas as a good thing? Personally, I think it functions as a pressure valve that invites spectacle and little chance of movement building, but I'm interested to know your thoughts. Thanks, and your work is very much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, I guess what I think about the like marketplace of ideas debate, blah blah blah, I think it's helpful to have a few people who are doing that on the left, because I think especially it's helpful if those people can kind of redirect curious people to other left resources. Because I think that, you know, like look at like Destiny and the way that people talk about him, especially people who are sort of ex far right or ex, you know, conservative or even ex alt right. Like the fact that there's a guy who's going into those spaces and who's like being a decent, at least representative for a further left, you know, not that Destiny is very far left, but more of a left wing perspective than is usually represented in those spaces, you know, and he's not just like some straw man that they've brought in to shoot down, right? Like he holds his own. I do think it helps. Now, it certainly is not, that can't be the only thing. Otherwise, yeah, it is a little more than a spectacle, but I think it's like, it's a useful part of a larger strategy. And it, you know, it can't be me who does it, but it can be Destiny. Jennifer Palmer says, "Hi Nat, what was your favorite show or cartoon to watch when you were a kid?" Mine was Wishbone. I loved all his little costumes. Oh my god, I used to watch Wishbone too. I guess I like went through different periods, but honestly, like, I mean, I was a true child. I was a true like future or meme lady, because I think my favorite cartoon when I was like a kid was SpongeBob. Like those first 2 seasons of SpongeBob, iconic. Like I should do a video about SpongeBob someday. I feel like SpongeBob is also like, it's like a little subversive in terms of like gender and a lot of social I mean, there's a reason why like right-wing religious groups have always hated SpongeBob because like what is SpongeBob? Like SpongeBob is a creature of ambiguity. Like what is he? Like is he gay? Is he straight? How old is he? Like he wears a tie, but he lives in his own house, but he works at a fast food place, and his parents like there's so many questions. Like, and there's, you know what I mean? And there's Sandy, but Sandy's not his girlfriend. And then there's Patrick, who he's a little too close to. Like, I don't know. And he's kind of effeminate and like he has a high voice and he like giggles uncontrollably. Like, I just stand the hell out of SpongeBob to this day. Someone said I skipped questions. Did I? I don't think I did. Nawaz says, okay, new question. Can we have a full music video for Sad Trans? That shit is fire. I don't know. I think that would probably be a copyright infringement or whatever. Although it is parody. I don't know. I don't know how this I don't know how this works. Can someone ask Weird Al for me? I don't know if I have like a full music video for Sad Trans. No one knows what it's like. Amy Sargent says, hi Nat, can you please tell Aaron and Ashley they are cute huns while clapping furiously? Thank you, Angel. All right. Okay, what am I? I'm clapping furiously and telling Aaron and Ashley they're cute huns. Why are you doing this? Aaron and Ashley, you're such cute huns. I love you. I don't know what you want from me. I hope that helps with whatever thing you have in mind. Okay. Adam Lang says, no questions. Just wanted to make sure you know you're fantastic. Oh, thank you, Adam. Harley A. Wynn says, look at this lipstick, by the way. I hate this. We're doing a different color next time. Harley Wynn says, hi, I've been planning a channel for a while and I wanted to know if you had any tips on affordable set design. I want to have a high production value, but I'm poor. Okay. I can give you my quick tips for like good production value on a low budget. Invest in audio before investing in video. So having a decent mic goes a really long way. People will watch a video that's in 420p on YouTube and not complain too much. You know, there's YouTubers with 1 million subscribers, like Shoe on Head, right? Who shoot in like 420p webcam. Now, but you do need to have decent audio, because if you just have like buzzing noises and the audio is really thin and hard to hear, people that drives people crazy and they won't watch it. So you don't have to have an amazing mic, but just like at least like a decent like lav mic or like a Blue Yeti close to your mouth, or something like that makes a big difference. As far as set design, so I mean, a lot of the stuff I do with set design is not super expensive. Like obviously, like lately I've been getting more fancy with it, with that, like, you know, the screen and the like lamps and everything. But like that stuff I do with like the foil curtains, that is budget, like quinceañera decoration. You know what I mean? It's like drag queen stuff. It's really cheap. You can get photo backdrops online that are not very expensive. I mean, look at how Gigi films. Like, it's like literally just her standing in front of like a solid color backdrop. You can get a solid color backdrop for like $15 on Amazon. You know, film that with you in the center. In post, do a circular vignette around it to make a little gradient effect, and that will look really professional. You know, on a budget of $15. If you want a more complicated set, you know, I used to go to thrift stores. I used to go to, you know, yard sales. That's where I got like that creepy little doll and like those candelabras. Or early on, I used to make videos on a very low budget. The whole first year I made videos, I was filming on an iPhone 5. You know, or you can buy, if you want to upgrade camera, buy a used Canon DSLR. That's what I did next. I bought a Canon 60D at a very low price from a family member for $400. That camera I used from January 2017 until March 2019, this year. And that was a $400 camera that I used for most of my career as a YouTuber. And I only recently upgraded to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema. So those are my tips. Hedonism Bot, oh my god, great name, says, Since you've really taken off recently and gained so many new followers and fans, which would you prefer? The scrappy older days when you were making saucy videos on shoestring budgets and modest following, or now with over 1 million views each video, budget to make whatever you want happen, but along with the higher expectations and being noticed when you go out. Often well-known people say that once you hit a certain level, it's just not that fun anymore. So I wouldn't say it's not fun anymore. Like, it's definitely still fun. There are some kind of new challenges that have emerged as a result of the huge audience and like the higher expectations. I would say that's the hardest thing, is that I feel like I can't fuck up, you know? Like, it sort of limits, like, it limits my experimentation a little bit if I feel like a mistake is a disaster, you know what I mean? Whereas earlier on, I could kind of just like try weird shit out, and like, if it didn't really work, it was no big deal. Now it's kind of a big deal. Everything's a big deal, you know? And that can be kind of limiting in a sense. I would say that in a way is like the main thing that makes it hard, right? Like, you know, both when it comes to ideas and when it comes to form, like, I'm a little more reluctant, I think, to experiment than I used to be because I'm afraid of fucking up. But it's something I do try to overcome. Like, I do still take risks, you know, and I think that if I'm going to stay relevant, I'm going to need to always be taking risks, because the minute you get super complacent, you're just doing the same thing again and again, people get sick of that pretty fast. And I'm aware of that. Scott A says, "Hi Nat. If you could live in any country, where would you want to live for political reasons? How about aesthetic reasons? Thanks, love you. For political reasons, maybe Canada. Honestly, Canada, or I don't know, Iceland. For aesthetic reasons, I haven't traveled to that many countries, to be honest, but like, I really love Scotland when I was in Edinburgh. That's so beautiful. I don't know. I've never been to Japan, but I feel like I would love Japan for aesthetic reasons. So I gotta go to Japan someday. Okay, Trevor Zimmerman Rye says, "Hey Natalie, so in Chapter 1, Section 1 of Capital, Marx states, the wealth of the societies in which the capitalist mode of production prevails presents itself as an immense accumulation of commodities, its unit being a single commodity. Our investigation must therefore begin with an analysis of the commodity." Now, I'm not really sure what that means, but do you have any recommendations for makeup tutorials? The gender thing is confusing, and I want to try wearing some makeup. Thanks, love you. It really depends on what kind of makeup you want to do. Like, if you're interested in like feminization makeup, Steph Senyotti has a good, like, it's like a 20-minute like intro to makeup, or like trans makeup 101 tutorial. It's pretty good. If you want to do drag queen makeup, I love the tutorials from Miss Fame, from Violet Chachki, that are on YouTube. And when it comes to just like sort of like campy makeup that's still like wearable, Nikki Tutorials does a lot of her videos are a little like gimmicky. Like, it's like, let's try this new crazy thing, you know, because that's what you have to do when you're a professional beauty vlogger, is you have to constantly, you know, because there's a lot of cut crease tutorials on YouTube, right? In order to make new content, you have to be like, this crazy new product that I just got, you know what I mean? But I like Nikki Tutorials. She seems like she's like very, she does tutorials. You know, she doesn't, it's not a whole lot of like, it's not Jeffree Star, who I admit I like Jeffree Star, but like, it is a lot of tea, a lot of shade, a lot of my dog died, a lot of, you know, it's a lot of stuff that's not makeup, right? So if you're just looking for makeup, yeah, look at Nikki Tutorials. If you are a 15-year-old girl, James Charles. Okay, let me hit refresh. I've been streaming for 3 hours now, so my voice is pretty tired, but let's see if there's any other questions. Oh, Weird. Now that I refreshed, there's like questions coming up that maybe this is what you guys are saying. I skipped some because there's like ones that were not there before I refreshed. Let me scroll up and make sure I didn't miss any up here. I hate this lipstick. God, it's so bad. Okay. I don't see anything I skipped. Okay, 2 more questions. Batman's Nips says, what is your favorite conspiracy theory and why? I'm not a fan of that. Okay. And this isn't a conspiracy theory in itself, but the Great Awakening. Do you guys know like the Great Awakening diagram? Which I guess is related to QAnon, which is extremely toxic. But like, there's this chart called the Great Awakening. What is it called? It's the Great Awakening map. Yeah, if you Google the Great Awakening map, like, I cannot stop looking at it. It's just an endless source of entertainment for me. So I guess that. Gamsey Joestar says, hi Nat, I forgot to submit a question last AMA and almost slept through the stream this time. Oops. I asked the time before last for makeup advice and forgot to specify more feminine makeup. Okay, you sent me a picture. Thoughts on this picture, minus my ungodly mannish jaw and nose. I would love to be as pretty as you eventually. Gamsey, putting yourself down. You want makeup advice, right? Is that what we're saying? Makeup advice. Okay, I have like 3 bits of advice. One is not really makeup, but it's like, I can't come. Your brows are a little bit in shadow here, but like, yeah, I would say like do more plucking only on the bottom side of the brow. That creates more distance between your eye and your brow, which allows your eyes to look more open. Then draw your eyebrows like a little bit, then fill your eyebrows in thin and long with an eyebrow pencil. I like the ones from Benefit or Anastasia Beverly Hills. Eyes, use an eyelash curler, or if you can afford it, I've started getting lash lifts every couple months. Like, it's basically a perm for your eyelashes that like, because my eyelashes just will not fucking curl, so it's kind of worth it for me. If your lashes are pointed up, it's very feminizing. It kind of opens your eyes up. As far as opening your eyes too, you have black eyeliner along the waterline. I sometimes do that myself, especially if I'm doing like a kind of smoky eye eyeshadow. I will do like a black eyeliner all around my eyes, and then I'll kind of smudge it out to blend into the smoky eye. I like to do what I'm wearing right now. This is a white, actually with a little bit of glitter, eyeshadow pencil. I like doing white right in the corners of my eyes. You can actually do white along the waterline too, like where you have the black, and white there opens your eyes up, and that has it like making your eyes look bigger is always a feminizing effect. So that's something that works. Last piece of advice is, I hate my lips right now, but the point still stands. They're overdrawn, right? Like, I did such a bad job of this, but like on your upper lip, draw it higher up than your lip actually goes. You're gonna have to practice this because you have to draw it neatly for it to look good. But overdrawing, like drawing your upper lips higher than they actually go, makes your lips look fuller and plumper and more feminine. So the way I'll usually do that is like, the easiest way to do it is do lipstick and then use a similarly colored lip liner and then draw around the outside. That'll give you a neater line. I'm terrible at doing it, so what I usually will do is I take a very fine pointed brush and concealer, and then I will go clean up the edges of my lips, and that way I can get them neater. So those are kind of my general feminization tips, but like they're all things that I think would look super good on you. So have fun. And oh, people in the chat think I'm suggesting putting glitter around your eyes. No, don't do that, because I've literally gotten a corneal abrasion from getting glitter in my eye. So what I meant, let me get the pencil I use. Yeah, it's this. This is like, it's a Marc Jacobs, what is it called? Well, basically eyeliner pencil, is one of like the twist ones. Now this is kind of expensive. It's like $20 or $25 for a pencil, which is a little much for most people, I would think. So you can just get a cheaper, what I mean by glitter is you can see it has like, wow, I feel like I'm doing the full beauty vlogger thing right now. It has like a little sparkle in it. But honestly, just get like a white like NYX like eyeliner pencil, something that's like kind of soft, preferably if you're going to be doing waterline, because you know that's very sensitive. It's a really eye-opening kind of waking up effect. I'm trying to do this in the reverse, not mirror surface. See, like even like on this eye, like I don't know if I like that. This would look good if it has a little eyeshadow blended out around it. A little shimmer, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, it's not glitter. And those are my tips. So, wheel. Okay, I think that's everything. Let me do a quick refresh just to... God, my lipstick looks so bad. Look at this. Like, oh fuck. I went back instead of refreshing. Okay, I think that's everything. Yeah, well, that's a 3-hour stream, 3+ hours. So I think we will call it a night. Thank you to everyone in the chat and everyone who's watched. Thank you to the question answers. Thank you all so much for your support. This is a deeply parasocial moment for us all. Love you so much. Good night. Mwah.